Chief Judge Timothy Evans' move comes after an investigation by the Tribune found that the deputy chief of the Cook County Adult Probation Department had compiled 3,674 hours of comp time between 2003 and 2015. Evans oversees the Adult Probation Department. Jimmy Butler, 21, in a Bulls loss to Orlando, 98-91. Xavier keeps its NCAA tournament bid hopes alive with a win over DePaul in the Big East tournament, 75-64. The plane carrying the Michigan basketball team slid off a runway during an aborted takeoff Wednesday. Team says everyone on board is okay. Michigan scheduled to play the Fighting Illini next in the Big Ten men's tournament. The news service of Cabela's. Cabela's Spring Great Outdoor Days is now here. Family events, amazing deals, your one-stop shop before the water. Get 30% off all in-stock Cabela rods, reels, and fishing line. Stop in and save this week at Cabela's in Hammond and Hoffman Estates. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Do you own or run a business in Illinois that succeeded in this challenging economic environment? If so, we want to hear about it. AM 560's Business Tour 2017, presented by Signature Bank, will be highlighting business success stories. Tell us your story and be a part of a live broadcast of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy. Find out more and submit your information at 560theanswer.com/business. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-400-8249. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-400-8249. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-400-8249. 1-800-400-8249.
You won't hear the traditional conservative views or the standard libertarian ones on the Yaron Brook Show. What you will hear is a discussion of Ayn Rand's radical fundamental principles of freedom, objectivist perspective on rational self-interest, laissez-faire capitalism, and individual rights. Yaron Brook invites you to the discussion. You'll be intrigued, inspired, and possibly angered. The Yaron Brook Show, Saturday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
5:08, let's check the roads this morning in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. On Metro's Milwaukee West line, the early morning delay. There were some wires on the tracks. The train due downtown at 5:30, running up to 20 minutes behind. Barrington, westbound Northwest Highway is closed. Park Road to Cuba Road. This is for investigation of the Tuesday night crash there. Because of this, there's an ongoing investigation of the truck involved in that in Crystal Lake, well to the northwest, which has closures of Eastgate and Commercial. The Aidens is fine. Kennedy Express lanes are now open on the inbound side. Outbound a crash at Harlem cleared, so there are no delays on the Kennedy. Eisenhower, Stevenson good. The outbound Ryan has road work in the two left lanes today from 87 to the split till 6 this morning. Tollway's good. Westbound 80-90 for Broadway. Got some work in the two right lanes. Traffic is a service of PioneerElectronics.com. In Chicago, traffic information is vital. It can mean the difference between a 30-minute and a 2-hour drive. With Pioneer's in-dash GPS navigation, traffic is displayed on a map in real time. Traffic on demand. Visit PioneerElectronics.com/Chicago to find a retailer. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, some sun, then turning cloudy. High 43, clearing tonight, low 21. Tomorrow, partly sunny, breezy and colder, high 31. Partly cloudy and cold tomorrow night with a low 18. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
32 at O'Hare, 26 in Aurora. Next news, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. The phone number 312-642-5600. That's the turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636DA is the turnkey.pro text line. How was your workplace experience yesterday without the angry Harridans?
That's funny.
Unfortunately, I didn't have that.
Oh,
no,
they're so
I'm
mean.
kidding.
Ripping on my mom yesterday and then ripping on me
Right,
for
no.
coming to work.
You crossed the
I'm a
picket
little-
line.
I was a little mannish yesterday. No, a lot of, you know what?
You took
I
off
know
your pea hat. You crossed the picket line.
I did. Now I have fewer friends than I had before, but that's all right. No, I know a lot of women who didn't go to work yesterday, and it just, and I asked them, why? What are you protesting? What is the end game here? Are you still not over Donald Trump being your president? And basically, they said yes.
They don't know.
No, they don't. There's no cohesive message that they have. There's no one singular message they have. They're just angry.
There's a very good piece in the Federalist by an attorney in Virginia named Audrey Rabenberg. And her piece, The Women's Strike is a Self-Indulgent Day for Privileged Females.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because any hardworking woman who has to feed their children, which is our number one priority, can't just take off work because you stand the risk of losing your job.
I assume fathers also want their children fed.
I know, but well, there's a lot of single moms, Dan. I mean,
I understand.
A lot of single grandmas, too, that are taking care of their kids.
Here's what Miss Rabenberg wrote. She's of the day yesterday, the day without a woman. This is a self-indulgent day for academics and professional women who are fortunate enough to hold positions requiring a relatively specific skill set and bear no real risk of harm from taking a day off. It assumes the privilege of being able to pause one's work at will and the privilege of being able to shuffle duties like child or elder care to someone else. It categorically demands more risk of women in lower income brackets and jobs requiring low specificity skill sets and without a support system. And she notes that most of the women who actually introduced this idea are, of course, in the hallowed halls of academia. She and then goes on to talk about, the women that don't have tailor-made jobs where they can walk away for a day in order to moralize to their fellow women and the rest of us.
Yeah, well, I'll remember too is also this coincided with International Women's Day.
Oh, you don't have to tell me.
I don't know if you. I mean, where were my
Celebrated
cards
every
yesterday?
Year. Yeah.
You guys forgot with the flowers, the chocolates, the card for International Women's Day, and that's just it's supposed to celebrate and hopefully promote equality in the workplace, because it is all your fault, Dan. It's the man's fault.
Male graduate students are more likely to get involved in professors' research projects. They're the ones who perhaps get called on more often in classes.
Yeah, seriously, that is University of Chicago student Jacqueline Wong, and we watched that with my boys because my boys think that there's a lot of favoritism toward girls in their class rather than boys. So when they heard that, they could not stop laughing. Like, please, that men get called on more than women in class, especially at the collegiate level. I don't think so.
I don't even know. How do you measure that? Has somebody measured that? I'd like to see the data. Here's the data that we do know. We do know that women earn 60% of the undergraduate degrees. So do you want equality there? How do you want to strip off 10 percentage points of female undergrads and turn their degrees over to which group of men so as to equalize the playing field there? Is that what you want to do? Everything is 50-50. Actually, it's not 50-50 because women are majority of the population. So more like 52-48, the distribution has to be so that it's perfectly reflective of the population, because that's the only way you achieve equality, at least according to the lame brain left.
Well, why are there so many man-haters out there? I mean, really.
What do you mean?
I just feel like they're all angry at men. It's like we need to live in harmony. We live together. Why? They're not better than you. You're not better than them. We're all equal.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well,
They're complaining about nothing. And some women took it even a step further, according to the Washington Post. Those who couldn't skip work, who wanted to show solidarity, are you ready for this? They decided to have a day without smiles. More specifically, fake
like
smiling.
every day.
Well, some feminists say the happy face they sport by habit or on command is a form of unpaid emotional labor. They do it to be pleasant, to be likable, or because someone told them to.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you smile?
It's
come
sad.
on. So people that couldn't go, that had to go to
Yeah.
work, just didn't smile yesterday.
It's sad that their lives are so devoid of meaning that this is their attempt to fill that void. It's rather sad and pathetic. 13 women were arrested outside of Trump Tower in New York.
Oh, these hotties here.
Yes,
Yeah.
those in the paddy
What are they?
wagon.
What are they wearing?
They
Do
were-
they know how foolish they look when they wear costumes like this?
Yes, they were arrested for their particular approach to civil disobedience. Here's something else that's interesting. The questions that were asked. I mean, this isn't about women. This is about leftism. This is about political power. This is a political power gambit. That's what this is. Here's to substantiate that claim, as if the evidence is overwhelming. 3 questions were posited to guide women strikers' thoughts. And hey, who says they need guiding? That's sexist right there.
Watch yourself over there.
3 questions that you were to think about as you were donning your pea hat and finishing your protest sign and
Wearing red.
screeching at white men. Do businesses support our communities, or do they drain our communities? Number 2, do businesses strive for gender equity, or do they support the policies and leaders that perpetuate oppression?
Oh my God!
I wish
Stop.
these academic leftist women would have some respect for true oppression. Stop using that word. You want to see oppression and repression? Go to one of those Islamic theocracies that you're so fond of.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, third question you're to think of yesterday. And hey, every day.
Yes, please speak slowly so I could write it down.
Do they align with a sustainable environment, businesses? Or do they profit off destruction and steal the future of our children? So you want to so these are women that are ostensibly taking the day off work to contemplate how bad, I mean, I would call these leading questions, to be generous, to contemplate how bad businesses are. But we want women-owned businesses, but businesses drain our communities, perpetuate oppression, destroy the future of our children through their profit-seeking conduct. I mean, could this be a bigger mess, a bigger intellectual mess that comes out of these groups? And I'm not talking about, the kind of ill-informed undergraduate who's just looking to be a part of something. I'm talking about the professorate that's represented and organized these protests, and other professional women who are, forever bumping up against the glass ceiling in their own minds, at least.
Well, here in Chicago, the CTA workers, the ones that wear diapers. I'm sorry.
Sure.
There's
those
equality
CTA
for you.
workers, yeah, I know.
They got together. They rallied for better working conditions, and
Did they throw their rattles?
Stop it. They just want to make sure everyone.
Did you make a boo-boo?
Did you go boom boom potty chair?
We come together in solidarity and come out like this, and we'll be all right. At least they hear us.
Okay, so they had a little bit of a march, and then Technology Hub 1871.
Wait. Isn't it interesting? Just as a point here. So the people that are insulated from calling their own shots on their schedule.
Yeah.
I could take a day off with impunity, per the lawyer's piece I referenced earlier. Professors,
and CTA workers, the people that are at the helm in various public transportation vehicles. Hey, we can take off anytime we want. We take a little dump in our pants, and we can walk right off the job anytime we want. Okay. All right.
It was an hour and a half. They just extended their lunch hour, half hour. But they were out there, Dan.
Sure.
There was 10 of them. Yeah. I counted all 10 of them.
Extended their lunch hour, half hour to make it around 4-hour lunch hour.
And the national media saying there's protests in Chicago. No, there is that rally at the CTA. And then there's a few things in Lincoln Square with about 12 people. That was it. There was no big rally in Chicago unless there's something I'm completely missing.
And you saw the story the other day about Tim Kaine's son, Woody.
Oh, yeah.
Woody got arrested, too.
Oh, Woody, come on, Woody.
I don't think...
What did they name him that after watching Toy Story?
I don't know, but...
hey, Woody. Of course he has a son named Woody. Of course he does.
And of course, Woody is rebelling against Suburban Dad on the down low. You know, I mean, to some extent, I don't really blame poor Woody, given he has to deal with his father, Tim.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Forecast for today. Today, we're going to have some sun and clouds by this afternoon, a high of 41 degrees. And then, folks, winter returns with a vengeance. We're going to have a low tonight of 22 degrees. Friday, partly sunny and colder, high of 31. And we're going to have some snow here over the weekend and on Monday. Let's get the latest on our Alarm Detection's Traffic System Center. I think I said that right. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Good morning, Amy. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, we have slight delays now on the inbound Stevenson, Ryan, and Bishop Ford. Stevenson, just a little heavy. State to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, about a 2-minute delay, 18th into downtown. Bishop Ford, about a 2-minute delay, Cottage Grove to Merge. Still some road work on the outbound Ryan, 87th to Split. The 2 left lanes are closed today till 6 this morning. Tollways are looking fine. In Barrington, there's a closure of westbound Northwest Highway between Hart and Cuba Road. This is for the ongoing cleanup and investigation of a major truck crash which happened there on Tuesday night. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Hey, if you're looking to secure a new home or refinance your existing home, then you need to call David Hochberg, Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. Donnie, happily engaged firefighter, called to refinance because he appreciated that David strongly supports the Associated Firefighters of Illinois Warrior Program, which raises money to purchase a car for disabled veterans. Now, David helped Donnie lower his rate, paid all his closing costs, and reduced his payment over $200 a month, which Donnie will use to pay for his wedding. Now, David would like to thank all active and retired first responders and military personnel by offering them a $400 closing cost credit when Team Hochberg loan officers of Pearl Mortgage close your loan. If you're a first responder or veteran and would like to work with a lender who respects and truly admires what you do every day to protect us, then call David right now. That number is 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. David has helped me and thousands of AM560 listeners, but he can't help you if you don't call. 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358 NMLS 19186.
Point Blank Range and Gun Shop provides a clean and safe indoor shooting range and retail store. At Point Blank, associates focus on customer needs, whether they're an expert or new to shooting. That's why people are talking about Point Blank.
I can tell you, I was impressed as soon as I walked through the door. The employees were really helpful, very patient, and knowledgeable too.
Point Blank Range and Gun Shop. Experience the difference. ShootPointBlank.com for more information.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Spring is in the air. The days are getting longer and the sun is shining brighter. Wouldn't it be nice to have new, customized window treatments to give your home a fresh look? The Blind Buddy can help you accomplish that without breaking the bank. Forget overpriced big box stores or pushy fly-by-night franchises. The Blind Buddy is an independently owned business serving Chicagoland for over 20 years by one of Chicago's first responders. They offer quality window treatments at affordable prices. Shutters, wood blinds, solar shades. Choose from a wide variety to fit your home or business, plus your style and budget. John, the Blind Buddy, will come to you and personally handle measurement to installation. The whole process can usually be done in 2 to 3 weeks. Read the Blind Buddy reviews on Yelp. Then give John a call to set up a free in-home consultation. The Blind Buddy's got Chicago covered. Visit theblindbuddy.com or call 773-893-0-BUD. That's 773-893-0-BUD.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy.
Yeah, I told you about this yesterday and your eyes rolled to the back of your head, but it's true. Somebody is personifying an innate object, and that innate object is a tampon.
Oh, enjoy your breakfast, friends and listening audience.
Well, there's a writer, a woman named, I wonder if she's a Republican or Democrat. Her name is Cass Kleemer, and she's a Washington, D.C. artist who created Tony the Tampon. And it's now in a coloring book. So you could buy Tony the Tampon coloring books for your friends.
In Illinois, it's Tony the Tax-Free Tampon.
Oh, hey, I like that.
Or Tax-Free Tony the Tampon.
So the Adventures of Tony the Tampon, the coloring book, is
I don't want to know where Tony the Tampon goes on his adventures.
Destigmatize menstruation.
Oh.
Further, and teach kids who may not have parents or teachers who are comfortable talking about them about the normal bodily function.
You know what you have if you have parents or teachers who are not comfortable talking about that topic?
What?
Good parents and teachers.
Stop it. Well, you learn about, at the very least, you learn about it in health class, but I guess some people skip out on health class and they want to know what's going on down there in the heathen region. So there's a coloring book so you can color
I'm having trouble breathing. I need a brown paper bag.
You can color Tony the Tampon whatever color you'd like. And take her.
It's
Honey, what are you working at school? Well, Dad, I've got this coloring book, Tony the Tampon.
Yeah. And that's just that's a guy you're talking about.
I mean, I'm sorry. I know we have to learn about our anatomy, but with Tony the Tampon, did you see Tony the Tampon?
I don't want
a little googly eyed. He looks so friendly.
Yeah,
He's
no,
nice
he reminded me of Pat Quinn's Squeezy the Pension Python. I think we should do. This is the way you distill any complicated or serious topic. Is you make a cartoon. I mean, if it works for, or you have like a little animal mascot. If it works for insurance companies, it works for unfunded pension liabilities. Clearly, that was a big success.
And Tony the Tampon claims that men get their periods too.
Oh
my.
I don't normally like to ask a question I don't know the answer to, but
yes.
According to Tax-Free Tony the Tampon, how is it that men also have their periods?
They just say that, you know what? It's part of one of the chapters.
Yeah, I
could review it.
Spoil the ending for me.
At 8:38 today, I could give you a synopsis, some cliff notes of what Tony the Tampon means when men get their periods too.
You know what happens when you let your children read Tony the Tampon books? They grow up to be Kate Blanchett, who told Stephen Colbert that her moral compass is her vagina.
We'll be right back.
Yes.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Right now is a great time to buy a home. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or an experienced one, Quicken Loans has many options that may be right for your unique financial situation. We can even show you how to get pre-approved for a mortgage with as little as 1% down. That's only $2,000 down on a $200,000 mortgage. No matter what's happening with the housing market, it's always a smart move to call us at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.18%, APR 4.35%. Experience the confidence that comes from working with a mortgage partner that has your best interest in mind. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN today or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org. Number 33.
Acme Home Insurance.
Yes, I'd like to make a claim.
What are you wanting to claim, sir?
My water heater broke down.
Sorry, but your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover water heater breakdowns.
So what do you cover?
Home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
A zombie apocalypse? But that'll never happen.
But if it did, you'd be covered, sir.
But not my water heater?
I'm afraid not.
But his water heater could have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus components of 20 other major home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, refrigerator, and more. For valuable free information, call 1-800-339-4151. Home insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Life happens. Have a plan. Get a home warranty from American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-339-4151. That's 1-800-339-4151. 1-800-339-4151.
AM 560, The Answer.
Okay, I'm sure you can't wait till the end of the show to find out about men getting their periods too. But according to Tony the Tampon, transgender men get their periods. That's why the one chapter says men get their periods too.
Thank you for that clarification. Glad we could close the loop on that. Coming up at 5:38, Paul Ryan may not have the votes to pass the GOP congressional leadership's Obamacare repeal yet, but he says he will have them at 5:38.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
33 degrees, cloudy skies. Under the Capitol Dome this morning, House members pulling an all-nighter, hashing out details of a bill that would repeal the Affordable Care Act. Republicans like Representative Greg Walden of Oregon argued the individual mandate had failed completely to bring young people into the insurance market.
You stuck it to the younger generation. You stuck it to the younger generation.
Was the chairman yield?
No, I will not yield. You stuck it to the younger generation, and they said, not buying what you're selling.
House Energy and Commerce Committee markup hearing continued into the early morning hours, and that initial repeal bill has passed. Ways and Means Committee approving a final round of tax provisions on a party line vote as well. Syrian activist group says airstrikes targeting a village held by ISIS in northern Syria may have killed 14, including 6 children. President Trump scheduled to meet today with community bankers around the country. Trump wants to hear about the bankers' challenges in complying with financial regulations under the controversial Dodd-Frank Act. Local leaders around Washington, D.C. are a bit upset about a bill that will dramatically change the makeup of the nation's capital. Utah Republican Representative Jason Chaffetz behind a bill that would encourage federal agencies to move out of the D.C. area. There are reports that former Utah Governor John Huntsman is going to be the next ambassador to Russia this morning. AT&T customers, your frustrations are over for now. You once again can call 911 on your cell phone. Company tweeting out that the issue impacted states across the country and has been resolved. Chicago Teachers Union considering a one-day strike in May to protest the city school board possibility of ending the school year 3 weeks early. The Illinois Department of Corrections revealing why they moved Drew Peterson to a federal prison in Indiana. The move requested because the former Bolingbrook police sergeant was labeled a threat to safety and security. You'll soon have to bring your ID to grab a Red Bull or Monster energy drink. Buy one in the state of Illinois, as a House panel yesterday approved a proposal to limit sales of energy drinks to those over the age of 18. And more than 100 Amtrak passengers now have a story to tell for generations about their winter day in North Dakota. An Amtrak train was stuck in Rugby, North Dakota for 13 hours, literally in a snowbank. The Chicago-bound train was coming from Minot, North Dakota. After being delayed there, workers had to come out and shovel the snow off the tracks in order to get that train moving again. Chicago sports, Orlando beat the Bulls 98-91. Xavier keeps its hopes alive for an NCAA men's tournament bid with a win over DePaul in the Big East tournament. The news service of Swap.com. Save 20% on your first purchase with code SAVE20. Swap.com. Unleash your thrift instinct now through March 15. 5:35, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher is for an investigation in response to President Trump's claims of wiretapping.
I've been reevaluating the thought about a special prosecutor. I need a special prosecutor. We need a bipartisan committee and oversight and go into this and let's investigate it all. Let's look at everything the Obama administration has done, the Trump administration with its supposed ties to Russia. Get it all out there.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you hiring? Join the over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. Post your next job opening on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this product works. I even recommended it to my mother, and she's been taking it, and she's 89 years old.
Makes me feel good. It really does. I could feel a change in my well-being, let's put it that way.
So far, it has helped my irritable bowel. So I'm just praying that it just keeps going, because you don't know. This was a dreadful thing. Dreadful.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Balance of Nature, you guys are awesome. God bless you.
5:36 and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. In Barrington, westbound Northwest Highway is closed. Hart Road to Cuba Road for investigation and cleanup of a truck crash which happened on Tuesday night. No delays to report right now on the Edens to Kennedy. Inbound Eisenhower getting a little congested around 25th Avenue. Inbound Stevenson has delays. Harlem to Central and State to Lakeshore Drive. 37 minutes, 3:55 to the drive. Ryan is 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 18 minutes, 80-94 to the Ryan. Toys are clear. Traffic is a service of Cabela's. Cabela's Spring Great Outdoor Days is now here. Family events, amazing deals. Your one stop before the water. Get 30% off all in-stock Cabela's rods, reels, and fishing line. Stop in and save this week at Cabela's in Hammond and Hoffman Estates. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Jim, thank you. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Sunshine today as we head through the morning, and we'll have some clouds later this afternoon. High 41. Clearing and 22 overnight. Currently 32 at O'Hare officially. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Ayn Rand Institute and the Yaron Brook Show. Heard Saturday afternoons at 4 here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Question for our friends and listening audience, and anybody who wants to weigh in on the topic. With the proposal, now that we've had a couple of days to sift through it, the component parts of the repeal proposal, which has been termed everything from Obamacare Light by Rand Paul to keeping the promise we made by Paul Ryan and congressional Republican leadership.
Oh, real quick, Donald Trump last night met with conservatives saying, do not call it Obamacare Light.
Yeah. Well, so here's the question. Now, we've had a couple of days to we've talked to a bunch of people, range of opinions on the topic. You've had conservative outlets weigh in, not too supportive of the proposal in its current form, but Mark Meadows, chairman of the Republican the House Freedom Caucus, has said he's open to negotiate, but this is not the Tom Price bill that they voted up and sent to President Obama's desk just 2 years ago, and that's what they should do. This isn't a repeal. So there's conservatives arguing back and forth about whether this is a repeal, whether this is keeping the promise that was made. over the last several years, not just by President Trump as a candidate, but also by congressional Republicans saying, essentially, if you give us the reins of power, we're going to repeal this monstrosity. So is this, in its form as presented, is this a kept promise by President Trump and congressional Republicans or a broken promise? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. We spent a good deal of time laying out the conservative case yesterday and getting reaction from Congressman Peter Roskam and our friend Hugh Hewitt. Now let's lay out, and they laid out essentially the GOP congressional leadership case, but Paul Ryan took to the dais yesterday to lay it out as well. So let's hear directly from the House Speaker, who's, of course, driving the train here. And he explains to conservatives, of which he counts himself one, what they should like about what has been proposed.
Number one, the bill repeals Obamacare. Number two, it repeals the Obamacare taxes, which is a massive tax relief for families for the cost of health care. It repeals the Obamacare spending, like the Medicaid expansion and Obamacare subsidies. It repeals the Obamacare mandates on individuals and businesses. It ends funding for Planned Parenthood and sends that money to community health centers. It has a Medicaid per capita block grant. That's the biggest entitlement reform anybody has seen here for decades. It nearly doubles the amount of money people can contribute to health savings accounts. That is a fundamental part and a crucial part of conservative health care policy. It equalizes the tax treatment of health care. I've been doing conservative health care reform for 20 years. For 20 years, we as conservatives have been arguing for equalizing the tax treatment of health care for all Americans so we can have a vibrant individual market so we have choice and competition.
Yeah, there's a lot of what he said that I agree with. He went on to say, here's the most important thing.
Yes.
Here's bottom line the most important thing about the bill.
This lowers costs, creates competition, it allows choices. The most important thing that this thing does is it takes power out of Washington, takes power out of the bureaucracy, and puts it back to doctors and patients where it belongs.
So more competition, more choice, lower premiums, defunding Planned Parenthood, extending health savings account, which empowers the consumer. There are certainly things to like about the legislation, even if you don't consider it the full repeal that was promised.
Well, the thing that's important to me, if you like your doctor, can you keep your doctor? And Tom Price dabbled in that yesterday, but didn't give a definitive, yes, you can keep your doctor. I mean, he didn't come out and say it like President Obama did at the time, saying, lying to the American people, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. So that's something. And we should mention that the health care plan did clear its first hurdle.
Out of Ways and Means.
18-hour session, the House Ways and Means Committee became the first to approve the Republicans' Obamacare repeal bill. So that's good.
Jordan in Forest Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. Amy. I think it is a broken promise, and I think the way that it looks like that bill, if it was passed, is not going to do anything as far as the premiums. So the premiums are still going to be high, at least for the next several years. So in the midterm coming up, everybody is still going to be disturbed about all these high premiums. So that's going to hurt the Republicans. I mean, there's just no question about it. For Ryan now, he needs Democratic votes to pass it. So wouldn't it be ironic if they expanded the ACA to get the Democrats to vote for it? More subsidies so it'll placate the Democrats.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. I mean, it seems to me you got a couple things here. This is the constant push and pull of the sausage-making process, right? There's only so much you can do through reconciliation to unwind Obamacare. At some point, you're going to have to pass legislation as well, and because of the Senate filibuster opportunity for Democrats, you need 8 Democrat senators to go along with it. And so it's always this push and pull. Here's what we'd love to do in a perfect world. Here's the blue sky proposal, but we have to deal with the reality on the ground and get something that we can put, first 50 votes on, and then through reconciliation, and then secondarily 60 votes on. And for those who are arguing standalone repeal, just repeal it.
Right.
You have to get a majority of votes majority of Republican votes for that, too.
Ah.
And Republicans are divided over standalone repeal.
And this morning we're learning that, if the bill does fail, Trump outlined a backup plan. You ready for this? To allow Obamacare to fail and let Democrats take the blame. That's what a source from this morning from the president's office.
He said that previously.
Right.
He said, here's what I could do, but I'm not going to do that. And I thought, actually, he set that up very nicely. I could play the obstructionist political game. I could play the blame-shifting game and just sit back and say, here's our proposal. I know you're going to vote it down, and we'll just argue about whose fault it is going into the 2018 cycle. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to propose something consistent with the promise I made. Now, we can argue about the particulars of what's been proposed relative to the promise. I'm not.
Do you think he's just saying that to, get conservatives to go along with him and to go along with this bill?
No, I mean, you've heard Mark Meadows and others suggest that they are open to negotiating on the topic with the president. Rand Paul has said he's spoken with the president. So has Mark Meadows in the House.
You bring his printer?
So the whole kind of, I'm just going to stand back. They're not going to stand back and do nothing. Now, doing something, as we've talked about, like at the local level with this grand bargain at the state of Illinois, just doing something to do something is not an acceptable strategic approach either. The substance of the something is what's at bar. And the question is this, you can't get a whole loaf without 60 Republicans in the Senate. So is this enough of the loaf? Is this the half or 2/3 or 3/4 of the loaf such that it advances the flag for the conservative reform policy agenda, even though it's going to be imperfect and there are contradictions contained in the legislation that advance market principles at the same time as they retard market principles through the tax credit? That's a legitimate discussion. And then that's, and then it's kind of an assessment of what we would have under this replacement versus what we have under Obamacare. Is this advancing us in the direction of freedom and individual choice? Will it lower cost by reintroducing competition and improve care in the process? Those are, to me, are the operative questions. Sharon in Itasca, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I went on a website, conservativereview.com, and Mr. Horowitz put out 20 points to how to really cure Obamacare, really kill it, and bring back the private sector, free market sector for health care. One of them is getting rid of HIPAA. There's other ideas on there. I don't have the list in front of me, but I invite everybody to go on that. We really need to get back to free market principles because adults such as myself and you two on the radio, we want to make our own decisions. And Reagan used to say, well, get 80% now and come back for 20% later. The problem is if you still leave a foundation of Obamacare left when the Democrats are reelected, they're going to have something to build on. So they really have got to fight to just get rid of this monster now.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Sharon. It's a good point that you make about if you leave the foundation. If you start from the left's premise, as I want to say, you get the left's outcomes. I'm not saying that this repeal legislation is the left's outcome because I don't think it is. But the idea, here's what Republicans are really challenged to do and reticent to do. And this is what Charles Krauthammer has said a couple times this week. Once an entitlement has been conferred, you can't remove it. I mean, you can, but he's essentially saying there's never the political will to remove it. And he's right. And that's why Leviathan grows. Once an entitlement has been conferred and you build a constituency around that entitlement, few are willing to take it away, recast it, even though in the medium term and certainly the long term, it would be better if we didn't have these entitlements at all. It would be better for the individual that's currently receiving the entitlement. It's a short-term gain for long-term dependency. But if there's not the political will to do that, you got a problem. And I don't see the political will in the Republican leadership of the House and the Senate to really completely unwind an entitlement that's been conferred. I think they want to make the best of the kind of entitlement regime that we have in D.C. And it's not good enough for me, but it is progress from where we've been.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Is it possible? Today, plenty of sunshine in the morning, then some clouds by this afternoon, a high of 41 degrees. Tonight, a low of 22. And Friday, it's going to be partly sunny but colder. Winter has not gone away, a high of 31 degrees. Let's get the travel times in our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Amy. The Edens and Kennedy are still fine. Inbound Eisenhower, just a 2-minute delay through the avenues. Stevenson, 38 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop, 4:20 from Haiti 94 to the Verge. It's always clear. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
The website, upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do on this show. Long-form interviews in our Against the Current series, this week featuring Mike Gallucci from the Illinois Policy Institute. Really an excellent discussion on state policies that have impacted your quality of life. Mike Gallucci is a great researcher and communicator on these topics like outmigration, manufacturing, job creation, range of topics. Podcast of our Illinois Rising program, which covers Illinois politics and policy as well as 60-second commentaries from me, Follow the Logic Man on the Street interviews, which are always entertaining and illuminating, 2-minute warnings, dollars and cents. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
Sometimes things don't turn out the way you expect them to, like Chicagoland weather.
It's so unpredictable. Should I wear shorts or do I need a winter coat?
I think the weather people just throw darts at a board and guess. Oh, look, I got rain.
No matter what the weather throws at us, be ready. Smart businesses rely on Air Comfort to keep them and their customers warm or cool, depending on which way our weather turns. Air Comfort is one of the largest commercial and industrial service groups in the Chicago area, with dedicated factory-trained technicians that take a scientific approach to analyzing your system. They have comprehensive year-round preventative maintenance programs and emergency service, plus design, build, and install equipment for new construction and retrofits of existing mechanical systems. Now is a great time to call Air Comfort and schedule an analysis of your company's mechanical system by their certified award-winning engineering team. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
Hey, March is National Sleep Awareness Month, did you know? And we all know how important a good night's sleep is to our health. Many of us have sleep-related issues, and our pillow is a major reason why. So MyPillow has a March offer. Through March, you'll receive a 50% discount on the 4-pack. What's the 4-pack? It's 2 premium MyPillows, 2 go-anywhere MyPillows. With MyPillow, you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll get into deep sleep faster and stay there longer. No waking up to a stiff neck or headache. They're manufactured in the U.S. and have a 10-year warranty. It's washable and dryable. I love that. And there's a 60-day money-back guarantee. So you'll get 50% off that 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy. And if you've been putting off purchasing a MyPillow, well, it's time to finally start getting a real great night's sleep. I know I do. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use the promo code Amy for the 50% off the 4-pack deal.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
The success of a mid-sized business often comes down to one thing: managing your cash flow. I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, we take a personalized and proactive approach to structuring your cash management solutions to keep your financial assets safe and working for you. Our automated accounts receivable and accounts payable technology allows your business to grow without adding to your overhead expenses. And what truly sets Signature Bank apart is our personal approach. We get to know your business by rolling up our sleeves to work alongside you. Call me today for a review of your company's operational challenges.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, I'm Carl Deichler, the CEO of Beachbody, and I'm here to tell you about an amazing new way you can start losing weight for free right now. You've probably seen our workout DVDs on TV like P90X, Insanity, and 21 Day Fix. we just launched a beta trial of our new digital video platform, Beachbody On Demand. So while we're testing out this new digital video service, I'm inviting you to use it for free for 30 days. That means you can lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, even 30 pounds without paying a dime. Text the word TRIAL to 303030, and you can do 30 days of P90X, Insanity, or any of over 400 workouts for free. Now here's the catch. In return, all I ask is you let us know what you think of the service so we can make Beachbody On Demand the best fitness and weight loss site ever created. Just text TRIAL to 303030 and get started for free right now. Again, text TRIAL to 303030.
Message and data rates may apply. Membership fees apply after 30-day free trial. Cancel anytime.
This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right?
Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed.
Isn't it?
Why is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy.
I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
They're going to ask. Be ready. Go to drugfree.org. A message from Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
Allergy sufferers are hearing a lot of numbers these days about symptoms and relief. But the number sufferers want most is zero, as in zero nasal allergy symptoms. And nothing gets you closer to zero than Nasacort. Because unlike antihistamines that stop only one cause of your allergy symptoms, Nasacort stops more. And stopping more gets you closer to zero. For 24-hour relief of your worst nasal allergy symptoms, including congestion, choose Nasacort. It stops more of what makes you miserable. Use as directed.
What's the scariest thing about going to the dentist? Opening your mouth or opening your wallet? Because just a simple cleaning can cost $100, and things like root canals can cost you hundreds more. If you don't have dental insurance to help, you should give Physicians Mutual Insurance Company a call. 1-800-500-0898. This isn't a discount plan or preventive-only coverage. This is real dental insurance that helps pay for checkups right away. So you can call today and get your teeth cleaned tomorrow. Plus, it helps cover the more expensive procedures you might need down the road. Fillings, crowns, bridges, even costly dentures. There's no deductible and no annual maximum. Your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired or on Medicare. There are no networks, so you can choose any dentist you'd like. That's right, any dentist you want. Call and we'll rush you a free information kit with all the details. 1-800-500-0898. That's 1-800-500-0898. 1-800-500-0898.
33 degrees at 5:57 and a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Like on Chicago's southwest side, the intersection of 59th and Costner is blocked with a three-car crash. Kennedy, 21 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 22, there's a crash reported at Cumberland. Edens is clear. The Eisenhower, 32 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Stevenson, 40 minutes, 3:55 to the drive. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to the loop. Traffic services Staples. Are you trying to acquire new customers for your business? Staples Print and Marketing Services helps you promote your business with low prices on presentations, signs, pens, mugs, and more. Right now, you can get 15% off custom signs and banners. Ends 3/24. See an associate for details. Staples, make more happen. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer picks up after Fox News. Top of the hour, your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Here is our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Turning cloudy today with a high 43. Then we'll see clearing later tonight with a low 21. Breezy tomorrow, gusts up to 30 miles per hour in the morning. Otherwise, colder with partial sunshine, high 31. And a cold night, low 18. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
32 at O'Hare. The news service of swap.com. Nothing beats the joy of thrift shopping with millions of items on swap.com. You can shop anytime for clothing, toys, and more. Now through March 15, save 20% on your first purchase with code SAVE20. Swap.com. Unleash your thrift instinct. At 5:59, here are the stories we're following on AM 560, The Answer. Chicago Teachers Union considering a one-day strike in May. No one hurt after strong winds caused window glass to fall from a high-rise building in Chicago's Loop. A lawyer for a man sexually abused by Dennis Hastert says she plans to depose the former U.S. House Speaker after being released from federal custody. Orlando, a victory over the Bulls, 98-91. Currently 32 degrees at O'Hare. More Dan and Amy after Fox. WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. One of the two House committees that started meeting on the new health care bill nearly 24 hours ago is still in session. Going deep.
An amendment to the amendment and the nature of a substitute to the committee print offered by Mr. Lujan.
The Energy and Commerce Committee still taking up amendments on the plan the White House insists is only a first step. Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Lisa, the House Ways and Means Committee's pre-dawn vote included abolishing the tax penalty for Americans who don't buy health insurance. New York Congressman Joe Crowley accused Republicans of ramming the bill through Congress.
Credible opposition to what our Republican colleagues are attempting to do.
Some Republicans oppose the provision that includes tax credits to help people buy health insurance. The House Speaker Paul Ryan believes lawmakers will make good on their campaign promises.
We all ran for Congress in 2016 on that plan.
The White House backs the plan and is in full sell mode. Lisa.
Thanks, Rachel. Hundreds more U.S. forces are now on the ground in Syria as part of the effort to defeat ISIS in its de facto capital. Fox Radio's Jessica Gallagher, live in our Mideast Bureau.
Lisa, coalition spokesman U.S. Air Force Colonel John Dorian says the Marines and Army Rangers will be working with local partners in Syria. The Syria Democratic Forces, which includes the YPG, Kurdish militia. The Syrian Arab Coalition will also play a role, but not on the front lines. There are already 500 U.S. forces on the ground in Syria. The fight for Raqqa is expected to be protracted as the militants are heavily trained and armed. Lisa.
Thanks, Jessica. Utah could soon have the strictest drunk driving threshold in the nation. State lawmakers last night voting to lower the limit for a driver's blood alcohol content to 0.05%, down from 0.08. That measure heads to Utah's governor, who has said he supports the bill. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Do you own or run a business in Illinois that succeeded in this challenging economic environment? If so, we want to hear about it. AM 560's Business Tour 2017, presented by Signature Bank, will be highlighting business success stories. Tell us your story and be a part of a live broadcast of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy. Find out more and submit your information at 560theanswer.com/business. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Changes in Washington are not only affecting the nation's economy, but your family's as well. Quicken Loans can show you how to take advantage of a cash-out refinance to pay off credit card debt or invest in home improvements. In fact, you may be able to eliminate private mortgage insurance. No matter what's happening in Washington, it's always a smart move to call us at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.18%, APR 4.35%. Experience the confidence that comes from working with a mortgage partner that has your best interest in mind. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the third year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN today or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig Bolanos. Heard Sunday mornings at 10.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Anybody who listens to this show knows they get homework, and so here's a piece that I'm assigning to you.
Okay.
Why I Left the Left. Evan Stern, who's describes himself as an entrepreneur from Providence, Rhode Island. I guess he's like a currency trader of some sort. Interesting. He writes, this is at fee.org, Foundation for Economic Education. You know, you remember Leonard Reed, Fee, iPencil.
Okay.
One of the most compelling essays on capitalism in the last 100 years. So you should read that too. Read iPencil by Leonard Reed if you haven't already read that. That's another homework
Another
assignment.
homework assignment.
Yeah. I'll give you the weekend.
Oh, I have until Monday morning, 5 a.m.?
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
No problem.
So nice.
Evan Stern writes, I spent nearly a decade of my young life in hard left movements. I spent my teens printing zines, organizing squatting, and worshiping the ironically bourgeois intelligentsia that pandered to our leftist sensibilities. At the core of my ideology was a burning desire for liberty and an intense distrust of the state, which makes proposing and promoting socialism all the more odd. That's my editorial comment. But he goes on to write, I saw the state's oppression in everything and everyone. Social justice was always a welcome addendum to anti-statist leftism for me. I gladly assumed the mantle and answered the call to march for police accountability, for women's rights, for the ethical treatment of gays, for whatever was the social justice moment. The left, he describes his participation in what consumed the left during his time. The left was consumed by a drive to expose the innate bigotry of the majority, even when they're the majority, like women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, majority of the population, just raw numbers. But he goes on to say how he lost faith with the radical left, why it happened, and what has happened to the radical left that you saw on display with the P March in D.C. and the immigrant walkout day, immigrant strike day.
A day without immigrants, yeah.
Yeah, and yesterday, a day without a woman. It's all the same. It's all of the same. Mr.
It's
Stern.
the same people striking.
Well, right. I mean, it's the same solidarity and marginality, foe that it may be. It's the same bigot baiting. That's right. And this is essentially Stern's conclusion in part. He writes, the left has lost its traction by alienating average people and turning its intent towards social issues that are codified for inclusion. And, of course, their argument is no longer to abolish the state, but to beg for benevolence at the feet of a corrupt government. Boy, he finally connected the dots. How about that? If Evan Stern could connect the dots, maybe there's hope for your friends in Lakeview, Amy.
I'm a recovering Democrat.
Yeah.
I am. I get ridiculed for it.
Clearly.
Surprised my house hasn't burned down yet.
Well,
Really?
given their disposition, as Stern recounts, yeah. He writes, of course, their argument is no longer to about abolishing the state and begging for the benevolence. I could not fathom how a group of people could move in a linear fashion from the idea that the central state was incorrigibly corrupt to the notion that we could somehow force it to provide for our interests. Oh, man, I like it when I can read an epiphany happening as I'm reading. In my last dark days with the left, writes Stern, I pleaded for objectivity, reason, rationale. Those requests fell on deaf ears and nearly always resulted in a collective tongue lashing against my perceived ignorance. Why, they demanded, could I not accept that my perspective was being undermined by my whiteness? Why, if I was so committed to change and righteousness, could I not separate the evil the evil male desire from my true self? My positions, they would argue, had become tainted, infected by my heteroness, my maleness, my Caucasianness. I mean, it really is. But this is actually an accounting of what happens. This cult of ignorance. He goes on to conclude that what he is describing effectively, the last hurrah of hedonistic self-satisfaction, and that's a great phrase. That's what it is, hedonistic self-satisfaction. It's all self-indulgence, mostly by people of privilege. They're at least the driving force. In the last hurrah of hedonistic self-satisfaction, pens Stern, they have delivered the final blow to the radical left. Yeah, the left is in trouble, and if they think that forays like yesterday or the previous incarnations of their resistance are going to win the day, are going to inflame the passions of a majority of Americans, they're in for a surprise.
They are. And I wonder if they realize how silly they look. I mean, when they put on the pea hats, when they put on, wearing red yesterday in these outrageous glasses. I mean, I am all about gender equality, and I tell my friends that too. But there's not a cohesive message. There's just anger, and all the anger is that Donald Trump won. And they see him as misogynistic. They see him, anytime a man has wronged them in their life, they project that on Donald Trump. So they see their alleged abuser now as president. You see what I'm saying? Because they all relate back, well, she was raped in college or she was attacked by her husband. And I say, what does that have to do with Donald Trump? Well, Donald Trump doesn't respect women. And I'm like, okay, because he said something 11 years ago, and you have no idea about the context of what it means to be a reporter and how you warm up your subject matter before you. I mean, there's so much there that it's just.
But we have to separate here. There's the people that drink the Kool-Aid and then the people that provide the Kool-Aid.
Okay.
And so you're talking about the people that drink it, that are thoughtless. We really need to focus on the people that are dispensing it, because they have purpose. And their purpose is to, intellectually lobotomize your friends and Mr. Stern and others to gain political power. The Rusty Reno piece, which is one of the best op-eds of last year in the context of the presidential campaign, but he really explains what the left has become as Mr. Stern shares his story, or their strategic approach. It is bigot baiting. And this is why they have to go from one group to the other, and even do so at the risk of pitting one of their quote-unquote marginalized groups against one another, right? So, for example, in the city of Chicago, you have the highest black youth unemployment in the nation, right? I mean, the unemployment is massive. The lack of opportunity is systemic. And yet we're talking about protecting and providing benefits for persons that are here illegally, right? And so you want to make sure that people that are not U.S. citizens have opportunities that U.S. citizens who are also part of your coalition don't have. It starts to, when you do this kind of carving out slices of the electorate and balkanizing people by particular demographic characteristics, and trying to stitch them together in a 50% plus one coalition, you can do it for a time. If you're a good flim-flam man with the backing of the D.C. press corps like Obama was and like he enjoyed, and you have the luxury of running against a couple of terrible opponents, you can get away with it for a while. But you can't get away with it forever. And that's why, even though when Obama was getting away with, Democrats weren't at the state level, at the local level, which is why they lost 1,000 state legislative seats in Obama's tenure, which is why they went from being a majority party to being a super minority party in during Obama's tenure. He got away with it because of the unique dynamics of his candidacy and the matchups that he enjoyed in 08 and 12. But the Democrat Party didn't. The Democratic Party is being destroyed from within by this hysterical radical left protest movement. I mean, even calling it a protest movement gives it more credence than it deserves. It's really interesting. So I want them to continue, of course. I mean, I'm cheering the temper tantrums like they threw yesterday, because it is a very small, privileged, self-regarding, indulgent group of people that see themselves as a vanguard class in the Leninist sense of that phrase. And I'll tell you what, they don't have nearly as many acolytes as they think they have. And they can ignore election results all they want. It's like the Republican Party in Illinois. We just ignore election results and we keep doing the same thing, and we can't figure out why we're a super minority.
What's wrong?
I mean, it's just, so the National Democrat Party is a mirror image of the Illinois Republican Party.
Okay.
You know what we're doing? We need to triple down on it. That's our problem. We're not doing it big enough. Okay. All right. Do it bigger. We'll see how that goes. And that doesn't absolve now, just to transition a bit, that doesn't absolve the Republican Party, the conservative movement, from doing its job, too, and keeping its promises, because those same average folks Evan Stern refers to, the deplorables, let's say, the same that were galvanized by Trump and revolted against the ruling class, both in 16, but even previous cycles at the state and local level. It was building to 16, and Trump unleashed it. They are not in this, many of them, for party loyalty, even personal political loyalty to an individual politician. They're in it to get some justice. And so this story, remember the IRS?
Oh, yeah, I remember them.
Yeah.
That
They're still around. I'm talking about the IRS that illegally targeted.
yeah, they abused their privileges and
They broke the law.
well, broke the law, too.
Illegally targeting Americans based on their religious and political beliefs, trying to tear us under the Tea Party, among others. Have we forgotten about them? Thankfully, Judicial Watch, which operated as our shadow Department of Justice for the past 8 years, has not. And the IRS has told a federal court, this reported yesterday, that they've recently identified, imagine this, found in a box somewhere, almost 7,000 additional documents that could contain information on how the agency targeted the tax-exempt applications of Tea Party organizations and other conservative groups starting back in 2010, when the revolt really started, revolt against Obamacare, led to the House takeover by Republicans. But IRS would not comment on a timeline for releasing the documents. 7,000 more documents, and the reason that we're getting to the bottom of this, however slowly, is because of groups like Judicial Watch, watchdog groups that essentially act as a public interest law firm. I want this. I want this dealt with. I want John Koskinen, IRS commissioner. I want Lois Lerner, she of taking the fifth, and it was in charge of the 501c3 designations, material player in this illegal targeting. I mean, the weaponizing the IRS to go after people like the IRS can, when you're talking about not just your money, but your freedom potentially in jeopardy, based on their religious and political beliefs. That is the core of our nation. That is the core of any free society. And I don't want this to get lost in all of the back and forth about Trump's tweets and all of the other faux controversies that we get drawn into,
Right.
too, admittedly.
Yeah, but this is a real controversy. I mean, this is a real criminal act that happened in our big government that's overlording over who can get what 501c3 charity designations.
Right.
And then because of the IRS, that's what makes me think that there's something to, and I know you don't want to mix the issues, to Donald Trump suggesting that his Trump Tower was tapped by the Obama administration.
Well,
Because they've done it before. They did James Rosen. They did it to AP reporters and AP editors. They just took their phone numbers. For some reason, they broke into their phone systems.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. But just on Lois Lerner, remember this IRS thing. This is super important. Okay. No one admitted wrongdoing, but Lois Lerner apologized. We didn't do anything wrong, and we're sorry, and we won't do it again. Okay. This is the importance of Jeff Sessions, and goes back to a discussion we were having earlier in the week about picking up your wounded on the battlefield, rather than advancing the undermining that the left is trying to affect with respect to Sessions. I think Sessions will pursue this case. He so indicated it should be pursued and would be pursued by a Republican Department of Justice, headed by a Republican when he was a United States Senator, and he needs to follow through on this. There needs to be, you want to have faith in your government. You want people to believe that anybody in a position of authority is serious about the equal application of the law, about the protection of individual rights in a free society. Then there has to be a reckoning at IRS. Because if there's not, I don't have any faith in it. Then we will have the same arbitrariness and capriciousness with respect to the rule of law that we had in the previous regime if people are not held accountable. It's not bad enough. It's not enough just to say it didn't happen on my watch. There needs to be forward-looking steps taken to hold people accountable to make sure it never happens on anybody's watch again. And so more emphasis and more following of what's going on at IRS with that investigation from a congressional perspective as well as a Department of Justice perspective. I can tell you we're not going to let this case go because of the fundamental freedoms that are at stake.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Will the documents ever be released? Today, some sun, then some clouds by this afternoon, a high of 41 degrees. Tonight, winter arrives again, a low of 22 degrees. And tomorrow, Friday, we're going to have partly sunny skies, colder, a high of 31. Let's get into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. At Barrington, Northwest Highway westbound is blocked off between Hart and Cuba Road for investigation and cleanup of a wreck which happened Tuesday night. Southwest side of Chicago, the intersection of 59th and Costner is closed. A 3-car crash. Kennedy inbound, 23 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 20. Enid's okay, just a little heavy now inbound approaching the junction. The Eisenhower is 40 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 31. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. It's fine outbound. Ryan, 24 minutes, 95th to the Loop. Bishop Ford, just a 3-minute delay, 8094 to the Ryan. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Hey, time is running out. If you want to join me, Dan Proft, Joe Walsh, and Punta Cana this year, you have just a few short days left to book that trip, so do it right now. We'll be staying at the Secrets Cap Cana Resort and Spa in Punta Cana. Now, go online, really. Check out this resort. It's brand new. The sparkling pools we discussed, infinity pools, gorgeous. There's 7 bars, 24-hour-a-day room service, a bar in the pool, too, if you'd like. And if you want to golf, you're just a short drive away from 2 championship golf courses designed by Jack Nicklaus. And there's literally something for everyone. Beach volleyball, beautiful, pristine water, crystal blue. So if you don't wait any longer. There's only a few days left, seriously, before this trip will be closed. So get more information and book your trip by visiting 560theanswer.com/passport. That's 560theanswer.com/passport. Again, time is running out to secure this exclusive price from our good friends at Apple Vacations.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about balance of nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I've seen it in my lab. I've seen the immune response increase. I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection, and I know that it works.
Balance of Nature is providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Hey, are you thinking about the IRS right now? Man, if the IRS is coming after you, your problem, your IRS problem is there day and night. You need help to fight the IRS. I recommend you call my very good friend, Attorney Stephen Leahy of Open Tax Resolutions. Hey, he's got a special offer going on right now. If you're not certain about your position with the IRS, he will pull your personal IRS transcripts and find out exactly where you stand for free. Find out where you stand. If you owe back taxes, if you have unfiled returns. Hey, if you're afraid of the IRS, call my friend Steve Leahy now. 312-664-6649. Steve's the host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard every Sunday at 5 right here on AM 560. He's also a really good friend of mine, and I don't know of anybody better in dealing with the IRS. Call him now. Steve Leahy, 312-664-6649. That's 312-664-6649.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, the thing, too, just talking about why I left the left op-ed from that Evan Stern over at fee.org.
And I have it printed. I will be reading this.
Very good.
Just so you know.
Here's the thing. Part of what undermines the left and the right, too, when we don't do this, is when you don't stand up when you should stand up. When something is wrong, even if it's not coming from somebody that is otherwise a fellow traveler, you should still stand up. So, for example, the left's unwillingness to stand up and say targeting Americans for their religious and political beliefs like the IRS did is wrong. And we're as interested to get to the bottom of it as conservatives are. They don't do that because they're just they're myopic and hypocritical and only interested in advancing their power at the expense of everybody else. And if, some people's rights have to be torn asunder in the process, well, that's just too bad.
Well, did you know you were a Republican from just when you were a little baby in diapers? I mean, were your parents Republican? Did you grow up in a Republican household?
Not a political household.
Not a political, really?
No, not at all.
Then what shaped your views, and am I digging too deep?
Touched by
I mean, really,
the Lord, my Savior.
Okay.
No, I mean it was education. It was reading and reading the range of thinkers, philosophers, and economists and historians. So reading both sides and coming to conclusions about how a free society should be ordered, who's making the best case in advance of principles consistent with my faith. So Catholic education had a lot to do with it as well.
Okay.
But that's where it comes from. And so that's why it's easy for me because I tell you about standard setting and understanding, oh, by the way, that the standard isn't what's between your ears. The standard exists outside of you. The truth exists outside of you. And so everything you think needs to be bumped up against some absolute standard of truth. Well, that's the same thing here. So it's easy when for example, we talk so much about police and police-involved shootings. Well, it's easy for me to say if I believe a police officer acted inappropriately, if he injured or killed somebody inappropriately, it's easy for me to say that was wrong. I don't think that's right. That person should be prosecuted, that investigated, prosecuted, the due process should take place. So I'm not here to flack for anybody in particular. I'm here to try to say, well, here's the standard of truth. Now, are we applying it regardless of the political persuasion, political utility of the subject? And the left doesn't do that. Sometimes the right doesn't do that, to our shame as well. But that's the case with the IRS. It's the case with the politicization of schools. I mean, let me give you another example of this. We talked about Nutrier. This is one exclusive to Nutrier. I mean, I know some of the Champagne socialists on the North Shore think, oh, we've got a thing out for Nutrier. Nutrier is just a useful example of a larger problem. Let me give you another example. Downtown, you know this school, Amy, Francis Parker.
Oh, yeah, we played them the other day. By the way, beat them 35-24. 5th, 6th grade boys basketball, just in case you care.
Yeah.
It was a big accomplishment.
No, that's
but
nice.
they pay a lot of money to go to that school. And so they have money to hire really talented coaches.
25, 30 grand.
Yeah.
Up a year.
A year, even for kindergarten.
And this is interesting. Let's go on a little field trip with the kids at Francis Parker. This posted on Facebook by a Francis Parker parent. My kids' school took them on a field trip to see this exhibition. She posts pictures. Get ready for it. The teachers wanted to show them how to make protest banners similar to these from a world-renowned artist, in quotes, appropriately in quotes.
Yes, appropriately. Thank you.
Whether you're left or right, I can't imagine that anyone could view this positively. One child created the image with tears for Instagram in response. The signs from this artist, world-renowned, and in particular the sign that one student put tear emojis next to, FUGOP, in just stenciled lettering on black cardboard. Wow.
I was hoping when I saw this story that this was in New York.
Groundbreaking. Did he get an NEA grant for that? FUGOP.
It's in a little shadow box thing. I mean, my first graders could put this together.
Yeah.
Oh, another one says Putin, heart, Trump.
Boy, it's so
Fight ignorance, not
it's so
immigrants.
obtuse. It's so obtuse. But
that's on cardboard.
What is the artist trying to convey here?
Here's another one, Dan.
He's a neo-surrealist.
No racist USA.
Right. No racist USA. Fight ignorance, not immigrants, as you mentioned. Love resists. FUGOP.
Well, see, that's when they take it too far. That's vulgar, and that is so disrespectful. And that just perpetuates a stereotype.
So
if you're a Republican, you're bad.
So of this, will parents say this is just inappropriate? And I'd say the same thing if you're taking them to, to an artist that was, doing protest signs for, I don't know, for the Tea Party. I mean, it's just, or the fact that it's just one side that's presented. World-renowned artist.
Kids don't need to learn about how to make protest banners. That's the thing. And they're paying 25 to 30,000 a year, and they go on these kind of field trips?
So this is just another way to kind of gently, although not so gently in this case, gently say, here's what's cool and here's what isn't. Do you think kids are succumb to notions of what's cool and what isn't? A lot of them do, I think. So this is just a soft form of indoctrination under the guise of art, under the guise of learning. And it's indoctrination because they're always afraid to present opposing viewpoints. They just present one viewpoint, and they call it art, and we do a field trip, and this guy, I don't even know who the quote-unquote artist is, what he looks like, but it's going to be...
They grabbed that from the garbage can at a Trump rally.
It's going to be somebody that's got a complicated haircut wearing a pea hat, and we're going to say how avant-garde he is.
He has a man bun.
Yeah, or something like that, exactly.
But that is not art, and the fact that they wasted school resources and school time to brainwash the children with this junk, and it's vulgar, too. God, it makes me so. I would want my money back if I went to sent my kids to Francis Parker.
It's pretty pricey.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, you've heard how Automated Systems excels at assisting companies with systems integration and FDA compliance. But they're also a staffing leader. They supply handpicked elite leadership, subject matter experts, and proven technical professionals in engineering, quality control, and FDA compliance to support the life sciences field in executing mission-critical projects. ASI provides highly specialized pros to deliver projects on time and budget. Don't pay a lot more to a big consulting firm, and don't trust the big temp agencies to supply the talent you need. Call Laz, my friend Laz at Automated Systems, when failure isn't an option. ASI is retained by all of Chicagoland's Fortune 500 life sciences companies, from big pharma to startups, and excel through a culture of excellence in execution. For a staffing, compliance, or automation evaluation, call Laz now at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit AutomatedSYS.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI or AutomatedSYS.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we have a string of amazing guests. Mike Rogers is going to be here. And guess who else? We're going to play some football. Benjamin Watson from tight end for the Baltimore Ravens will be here. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
33 degrees. Republican repeal of Obamacare progressing after clearing its first hurdle overnight with approval from the House Ways and Means Committee over the protest of Democratic Congressman Paul Tonko of New York.
We're hitting seniors with massive Medicaid cuts that will jeopardize their long-term care. I don't think it's a winning political strategy for certain to kick Granny out of the nursing home. This entire bill is an attack on seniors.
The vote came down early this morning after an 18-hour session on Capitol Hill. Hawaii's challenge to President Trump's revised travel restrictions will move forward. A federal judge in that state has given the suit the green light to proceed. World stock markets are down today after news of a big buildup in U.S. oil stockpiles depressed crude prices and shares of energy companies. We're watching developments in Brazil this morning where there is an outbreak of yellow fever, has the World Health Organization wondering if the deadly disease could surface in the United States. Driver of a school bus involved in a deadly bus crash in Chattanooga, Tennessee, now charged with vehicular manslaughter. John Anthony Walker was charged by a grand jury for the deaths of 6 students. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson will try and convince Illinois lawmakers today to approve tougher punishment for repeat gun offenders. The city's top cop will lobby in Springfield today. Chicago public school teachers considering a one-day strike in May to protest the city's school board possibly ending the school year 3 weeks early. And Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx is blaming an error by her predecessor that allowed a man who was shot and killed moments after leaving jail this week to beat his murder case. Court documents show prosecutors dropped murder charges against Kamari Belmont in January after mistakenly allowing too much time to elapse under the state's speedy trial statute. Belmont was gunned down shortly after being released from the Cook County Jail on Monday night. Orlando beat the Bulls 98-91. Big Ten men's basketball tournament is alive and underway. Michigan will take on the Fighting Illini later today in the nation's capital. The news service of Liberty Mutual. From weather to traffic to news and everything in between, you have enough things to worry about every day. Insurance should not be one of them. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance. 6:34, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager believes Israel is in a unique position in more ways than one.
The anti-Israel hatred at the UN is unique. More resolutions passed against Israel than against all other entities combined in the Middle East. Israel is supposed to make peace with people who want it destroyed. It's not something. What exactly do we talk about?
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, great coffee, period.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. You know, the best home improvement decision I ever made was to call CertaPro Painters. No joke. Last spring, their trained, talented painters magically reformed my porch. Property values actually went up. But now that winter is set in, let's get your interior painting done, and CertaPro Painters are the only ones to call. You know, CertaPro Painters is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, and we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. When they come into your home, they are so quiet they won't wake a baby, and guess what? The best part is they clean up after themselves. So with this new year, you should refresh and renew your living space. Book your interior painting project today. For a free estimate, call our good friends over there at CertaPro at 1-800-GO-CERTA, that's CERTA with a C, or visit CertaPro.com. And we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. I'm glad I called them. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Chuck Spaveri, CEO of Spaveri's Custom Counters, a Chicagoland manufacturer of residential and commercial countertops. If there's a local commercial bank who knows how to get a deal done, it's Signature Bank. When my brother and I needed it, Signature Bank came through with a creative financing solution. That's because Signature Bank has experience working with companies like ours, a second-generation, family-owned and operated manufacturer. Our business matters to Signature Bank, and that comes through in every visit and every phone call with their team, right up to the bank's co-founders, Kevin, Mick, and Brian. Spaveri's is proud to bank with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
6:37. Let's get a check of the roads. Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center time. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Southwest side, 59th is closed between Kenneth and Costner with crash. Edens is 23 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 20. Kennedy, 34 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 26. The Eisenhower. Now 48 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 32. Stevenson is 53 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, fine outbound. Lyon, 27 minutes. 95th to downtown. Eastbound Adams Tollway, really heavy between the Tri-State and the Kennedy. Traffic is a service of Westin Hotels and Resorts. Westin knows how disruptive travel can be to your well-being. But with rejuvenating heavenly beds, a nutritious superfoods RX menu, and gear lending when you leave your workout gear at home, Westin will help you stay in control and rise above it all. Westin, let's rise. Learn more at westin.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. We'll have sunshine this morning, then turning cloudy this afternoon. We'll top out at 41. Currently 33. Next news coming up at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Military Mortgage Talk with host Tony Gatliff. Sunday mornings at 9 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, WikiLeaks tweeting out yesterday after their release of more than 8,000 documents related to the means and methods of CIA cyber spying, that 99% of its CIA documents have not yet been released.
Wow.
That represented just 1% of what they have. And, of course, after that release, there's a FBI investigation into which CIA contractor, if that is true.
Who the leaker is?
Yeah, leaked the documents to WikiLeaks to leak to the world.
Or did the Russians do it? I read that somewhere, too.
And in addition to that, you had Sean Spicer, President's press secretary, of course, addressing the media's selective outrage when it comes to stories about leaks. This was an interesting exchange with a Fox News reporter.
But I think the idea that we are having these ongoing disclosures of national security and classified information should be something that everybody is outraged in this country. This is the kind of disclosure that undermines our country, our security, and our well-being. And you've seen over the last 2 years, depending on the leak, it depends on the outrage. It's interesting how whether the leak occurred under the last administration, you had member after member talking about disclosures that occurred during the last administration, whether it was members of Congress. Elijah Cummings expressed concern during the last administration in terms of the Americans that were, when it dealt with Hillary Clinton, there was complete outrage about the leaks that occurred, members calling for investigations into the leaks. It's interesting how there is sort of a double standard with when the leaks occur, how much outrage there is.
All right, we'll talk more about this with our friend Mike Rogers, former House Intelligence Committee chairman and congressman from Michigan, also an officer in the United States Army and an FBI special agent. And, now he's just another talking head in the media. He's really,
he does
he's really fallen off. After that resume, now just to be another member of the compromised D.C. press corps. Mike Rogers, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Wow, that of all the introductions, that certainly is the most recent.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. So, what about Sean Spicer's chastising the press about their kind of selective outrage when it comes to matters of leaking information, classified and otherwise?
Well, I mean, obviously, first of all, nobody should be surprised that the CIA is engaged in espionage activities, number one. That shouldn't shock us.
Right.
What? There's gambling going on here?
Yes, Captain Renault, yes.
Yeah. But secondly, it is concerning that the agency was penetrated this deeply, where they were getting even certain protocols on how personnel who might be traveling around to certain countries would act when they went through customs or done other things. Normally, that's very, very highly and tightly held, highly classified, tightly held information. So those can be very, very damaging. And we have to remember that our foreign adversaries, and there are a bunch of them, their foreign and counterintelligence units will be taking this information and then trying to re-engineer it to determine, have they been penetrated? Is this stuff on my devices? Has someone gotten into an important ministry somewhere? Trying to get information about their government and how it works. All that's going to happen, and that's what's concerning, and we should be a little bit outraged. This somebody, and I heard Amy talk about maybe it's the Russians, and it could be a nation state that's using WikiLeaks, who has this really high-end cyber capability to get in and break into systems, took it, and now is causing it to be leaked, much the way people, by the way, believe the Russians did with the Podesta information.
Well, do you think that this has Russia written all over it? I mean, could the CIA subcontractor be Russian or hail from Russia?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, a couple of things could have happened here, and you hate to speculate about any nation that might have been able to do this. I wouldn't want to mention any names, say like Russia. But I would say that they could have either gotten into the contractor's network and he or she inappropriately had this information outside of where it should have been, or a nation state, like, again, don't want to mention any names, like, say, Russia, may have gotten in to the system itself and stolen that information. And all this talk about, oh, it's a contractor, it's somebody willingly doing it, and all that could be absolutely false. Again, here's the problem for investigators. It could be true. It could be a contractor, and they've had this problem before, who gets disgruntled for one reason or another, and it makes them feel important, so they steal classified information and give it to organizations like WikiLeaks that helps our adversaries. All of that, unfortunately, could be true. But if I had my investigative hat on, I would start pointing at. I'd start at the nation state and work my way backwards.
So there's a couple of concerns here. There's the concern about, as you mentioned, the CIA being penetrated. But what we've really learned from the leaks, at least thus far, and I haven't poured over all 8,000 some documents, but it seems that the summaries on it, that it's a disclosure about means and methods. But the other concern is morality. And legality, for that matter. In other words, these kind of sensational techniques the CIA has for cyber spying, your TV's off and they can still hear you, and all of these, a weeping angel and all this. The issue is, how is the CIA applying those techniques that they have, and to whom? Because we've been lied to before, oh, by the way, about metadata collection, for example, from the Director of National Intelligence, who was on Meet the Press over the weekend. And so Americans are concerned about protections of their liberties from CIA's prying cyber tools.
Yeah, and obviously should be concerned. I think the oversight is appropriate. So the Cyber Center was actually kind of ramped up when I was still on the Intelligence Committee. And the design, remember what a spy's job is to do. It's to go overseas. It's to try to solicit someone who is in a position to provide information that could, in many cases, help divert war. You start there, or figure out what is that government's weapon systems? Why can it beat our missile system, or fill in the blank? So it saves lives, I do believe. Intelligence done properly is a very powerful thing that helps alleviate conflict at the end of the day, if done correctly. And so, all of the levels of oversight that happens for an agency like the CIA, including my former committee, make sure that they have the tools and resources to do what they need to do. Imagine if I didn't have to go recruit the guy sitting at his computer in the Ministry of Nuclear Affairs in Iran, let's say, versus they find a way to get into that computer and get just a little bit of information off of it that tells us what they're up to or not up to. That, to me, is less risky. It's certainly less risky to someone who would be committing an act of treason for their own country overseas to do that process. And so they develop tools in a modern age to try to conduct espionage activities very targeted. Remember, the CIA had no interest in mass data collection. It does absolutely nothing for them. It's not even in their mission set. They don't care. What they do care about is a guy named, Mike Rogers sitting in a Moscow bureau. They care about what he knows and what he's doing for the Russian government that might be adverse to the United States. That's the kind of techniques and things that they're going to develop to try to get that information as easily as possible. And sometimes cyber is just the easiest way to do it.
I want to move to Trump's wiretapping surveillance claims. And James Clapper over the weekend reacted to Trump's tweets, but not really to the underlying substance of the matter. And I go to a piece Bill McGurn wrote in the Wall Street Journal this week, where he invoked the memory of Robert Bork and Robert Bork's concerns about FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which was enacted during Carter. Bork's concern was that when an attorney general must decide for himself without shield of a warrant whether to authorize surveillance and must accept the consequences if things go wrong, there's likely to be more care taken. The statute, FISA, however, has the effect of immunizing everyone, and sooner or later that fact will be taken advantage of. Are we at that place where everyone's been immunized and the statute is being taken advantage of, as Bork predicted would happen?
I don't believe it, and I'll tell you why. So the FISA court it's some mystery thing. It's where classified material goes. So you either have to be suspected of an agent of a foreign power, engaged in espionage. We believe you would be a foreign entity here, like an embassy, like people who work for a foreign embassy in the United States, or in special cases, these terrorism cases. So I don't believe so. And what the two things that Clapper said that struck me over the weekend, he said, first of all, there was no FISA warrant. I thought that was that targeted Trump or his organization or I think his campaign or something like that. And the other a piece of that, excuse me, was that he just absolutely said that there was no collusion between the Russians and the Trump campaign. And for all the hubbub over the last few months, and certainly where the Democrats have been coming from, and he was appointed by Obama and served under Obama for 8 years, that was pretty shocking to me that he definitively said our report showed no collusion with the Russians. So that ought to end that conversation. Now, the FISA thing, he left open one thing, which I found interesting, which is something called a Title III, which is what I used to do in Chicago to gangsters, right? You go to the court, you get a court order, you determine probable cause to be able to bug their phone or place a bug, something like that, to catch them doing illegal activities where there's a high probability they're doing them. He left that open, and so did some other folks coming out of the Intelligence Committee. If you listen pretty carefully, you can kind of wade your way through this. So if anything happened likely, I'm telling Dan, excuse me, it's likely that there was some incidental collection on one of those FISA warrants somewhere, meaning that wasn't the target. The target of the intercept was not that, but they either called in or sent an email or something like that. And that's called incidental collection on a FISA warrant, and same with a criminal warrant. Now, my guess is something like that is what happened.
But I saw you on Face the Nation on Sunday, and you said that President Trump is feeding the conspiracy parking meter when he accused former President Barack Obama of wiretapping his office. Do you still feel that same way?
I do. Listen, I think we were walking into a week, America, the Congress was walking into a week where they were going to talk about one of the biggest issues affecting just every single American. Every single American is going to be impacted by health care. And he just fed that conspiracy meter a couple extra quarters, and it lengthened that story in a way that I didn't think was helpful. He could have gotten answers to a lot of the questions he even posed in his tweets. And, you're the President of the United States, and if he's concerned, and he may have all the right reasons to be concerned, I won't even question that. But you don't feed this big conspiracy beast and completely yank apart any hope that we had of some unity for the Congress trying to fix Obamacare. And that's what I think happened. I mean, he blew up his message on expanding the military. He blew up his message on the Affordable Care Act going into this week. To me, it was just scratched my head. And that's when I thought, boy, they're going to need some discipline here. You're feeding a story for sure, but it's the wrong story right now. There are investigations going. He should have contacted those folks and said, I want you guys to look at this. This is troubling to me. He could have gone down to the FBI director and everybody in the chain of command there that would know anything about any warrant and ask them the question or have the question asked for him. Did this happen? Was it incidental, or was there a warrant of some sort, either FISA or a criminal warrant that touched Trump Tower? He could have done all of that. He didn't do that. He chose to, at 6 o'clock in the morning, throw out a tweet that threw the whole country, and candidly, our adversaries, the Russians, are having a hoot over it. They think that they're the ones that are winning this fight, unfortunately.
He is former Michigan Congressman Mike Rogers, former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, officer in the U.S. Army, FBI special agent, now the host, contributor to CNN and the host of Declassified on CNN. Mike Rogers, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. The AMA isn't backing the Obamacare repeal bill. China's swamped with new Trump products. Emirates Airlines ignoring East Coast congressmen. Those stories next. Hi, folks. Are you an individual or business who owes at least $10,000 to the IRS? Are your wages being garnished? Has your bank account been levied? Do you have years of unfiled tax returns and you're losing sleep at night worrying about it all? Rapid Resolution Tax Group is a team of tax attorneys, enrolled agents, and tax professionals who have helped thousands of people with problems just like yours. They're accredited with a Better Business Bureau and they guarantee same-day contact with the IRS. If you qualify, Rapid Resolution Tax Group can work towards settling your tax debt for less, removing penalties and fees, and stopping levies and garnishments. They're not intimidated by the IRS, and they promise not to let the IRS intimidate you. Call the professionals at Rapid Resolution Tax Group. They're at 800-601-2929. 800-601-2929. That's 800-601-2929. The American Medical Association not supporting Congress's Obamacare repeal legislation. This is the largest physicians group in America, so its opposition is something the administration and congressional leadership will need to overcome. Ahead this morning, Wall Street will watch the latest numbers on jobless claims. Also due out today, updates on import and export prices. China has given approval for 38 new Trump trademarks, everything from golf clubs and spas to branded bodyguard services. None are tied financially to the 45th president or his family business. Dubai-based Emirates Airlines going ahead with its plans to fly from New Jersey to Greece, that over opposition from 25 members of Congress from New York and New Jersey. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Fruits and vegetables are one of the very best, if not the best way to help protect your body from many of the lifestyle diseases plaguing our nation. Eating over 10 servings of fruits and vegetables daily will help build your immune system to over 720% and is the single most important thing you can do for your health, along with diet and exercise. Why are fruits and vegetables such a powerful health consideration? Because they contain tens of thousands of phytonutrients prepared especially by Mother Nature to nourish our body on a cellular level. Dr. Howard successfully formulated and perfected a mix of 31 different fruits and vegetables and scientifically removed the water and air through a proprietary cold vacuum system, reducing them into a super powder which maintains 99.9% of its nutrient value, then packaging them into vegetarian capsules ready for consumption. Here's Dr. Howard.
What does good nutrition not benefit? Can you name anything that good nutrition will not help? It's not a cure-all. The scope of what it can help is so wide because our bodies are really fabulous, amazing chemical laboratories. Everything that functions in your system is a chemical response. Keeping that chemistry in balance and keeping the cells communicating with each other the very best possible way is absolutely the best way to reduce your risk of disease and also help your body help itself even fighting most of these diseases.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. The left doesn't need to learn new tricks if the old ones work just fine. The whipped-up frenzy around Attorney General Jeff Sessions is little more than fodder for a couple of episodes of some hackneyed Aaron Sorkin TV drama. It's not an occasion for Republicans to wet themselves, as some have. It's not an occasion for Republicans to adopt the high dudgeon of Senator Stuart Smalley, as some are. And it's not an occasion for Republicans to provide fuel for the gaslighting by the left on Russian influence on the Trump administration or impact on the 2016 election. William F. Buckley commented that relative to the left, conservatives do a poor job of picking up their wounded on the battlefield. True. What we essentially have here is Jeff Sessions cutting himself shaving while putting on his uniform. He then stopped his bleeding with his recusal on 2016 campaign-related investigations. Compare that to the wounds inflicted by bad actors at the IRS, for example, who illegally targeted Americans based on their religious and political beliefs and have yet to be held accountable. Jeff Sessions is our general for justice. We should encourage him to lead, and we should follow him into battle.
Are you facing foreclosure, been foreclosed upon, in a bad modification, or just stuck in a bad mortgage? Well, we may be able to help you. My name is Lou Brady.
Bridges. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lou Bridges and Associates. We've been helping distressed homeowners like you for over 8 years now. We defend foreclosure actions. We bring claims against the banks and the servicers for wrongful foreclosure and other violations of mortgage servicing regulations. And we help people negotiate modifications of their existing mortgages, often including principal reductions. Give us a call. We provide free consultations. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest analysis, counsel, and advice regarding your options.
Hi, this is Rayanne from Lou Bridges and Associates. I am one of the loan modification processors here, and if you are in need of any additional information in regard to a loan modification, please contact the office.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you'll never be alone.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We go deep with Ravens tight end Ben Watson at 7:07.
And later, former U.S. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales joins us. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Outside, we have clearing skies while CTU considers a one-day strike. WIND Chicago News Time 7.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. The new health care bill clearing its first hurdle in the wee hours this morning.
There being no further business for the committee stands adjourned.
The House Ways and Means Committee passing it shortly after 4 a.m. A second committee still in session from yesterday. The overall debate whether the bill goes too far or not far enough. Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Lisa, Republicans are divided over tax credits to help Americans buy health insurance. Hardline conservatives like Jim Jordan believe they're another government entitlement program.
Clean repeal and then replace it with a model that empowers families.
House Speaker Paul Ryan says Republican lawmakers campaigned on this plan.
We spent a year working on this plan. All House Republicans participated in this.
President Trump supports the repeal and replace plan. Democrats opposing it outright. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calls it fake health care. Lisa.
Rachel, President Trump meets later today with the heads of the CIA and Homeland Security. This week's mass release of secret CIA hacking documents, a likely topic. WikiLeaks says what it released so far is less than 1% of what it has. The FBI investigating who leaked it. The number of U.S. forces on the ground in Syria nearly doubling in the past few days. Fox Radio's Jessica Gallagher, live in our Mideast Bureau.
Lisa, a couple of hundred Marines and Army Rangers have deployed to Syria in an attempt to oust ISIS from its de facto capital of Raqqa. They're armed with heavy artillery guns. The forces were sent to Manbij in an effort to create reassurance for local forces in the battle. These new troops are in addition to some 500 U.S. troops already on the ground in Syria. Raqqa is ISIS's largest stronghold. The fight is expected to be protracted as the militants are heavily trained and armed. Lisa.
Thanks, Jessica. The spokesman of the U.S.-led coalition fighting ISIS, though, says this still does not mean a move more to the front lines. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
34 degrees, cloudy skies, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago's Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson will try and convince Illinois lawmakers to approve tougher punishments for repeat gun offenders. The city's top cop scheduled to press the flesh along the rail in Springfield today in favor of a bill that would increase sentencing guidelines for those convicted of gun crimes. Chicago Teachers Union considering a one-day strike in May to protest the city's school board possibly ending the school year 3 weeks early.
The board goes ahead with the threat of canceling 3 weeks of school. We would view their action as a massive violation of our contract, and that could provoke a strike.
CPS warned last week that classes could end June 1st. Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox says it was an error by her predecessor that allowed a man who was shot and killed moments after leaving jail to beat his murder case. Court documents show prosecutors dropped murder charges against Kamari Belmont in January after mistakenly allowing too much time to elapse under the state's speedy trial statute. Belmont was gunned down shortly after being released from the Cook County Jail Monday night. A lawyer for a man sexually abused by Dennis Hastert says she now plans to depose the former U.S. House Speaker after he is released from federal custody. The now middle-aged married father argues he kept his end of the bargain to keep quiet about Hastert's misconduct. As a result, he says he's due $3.5 million. Hastert paid out $1.7 million over 4 years. The 75-year-old Hastert is scheduled for parole in August. And the first woman to be promoted to brigadier general in the Illinois National Guard is retiring. Alicia Nadeau made history in 2015 when she became the Guard's first woman promoted to Brigadier General. The Delavan native retiring after 32 years of military service to our country. Orlando, a 98-91 victory over the Bulls. Team carrying Michigan's men's basketball team slid off the end of a runway after an aborted takeoff Wednesday due to high winds. Now everyone is safe. The Wolverines are scheduled to take on the Fighting Illini today in the Big Ten men's basketball tournament. The news service of Burger King breakfast. How about the best place to have your breakfast? Maybe on a warm croissant. Right now at Burger King, get 2 Croissantwich breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light flaky croissant, piled high with savory sausage, or delicious thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 Croissantwich, $4. Only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. 7:04. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Do you own or run a business in Illinois that succeeded in this challenging economic environment? If so, we want to hear about it. AM 560's Business Tour 2017, presented by Signature Bank, will be highlighting business success stories. Tell us your story and be a part of a live broadcast of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy. Find out more and submit your information at 560theanswer.com/business. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
If you could quickly and painlessly clear your psoriasis or vitiligo, would you?
No matter how big the psoriasis is, no matter how small the psoriasis, we can help you.
Ashley is a clinical specialist for Extract, the amazing in-office treatment for psoriasis and vitiligo that's clinically proven to show immediate results with up to 95% clearance.
What my patients love most about the Extract treatments is it's safe, it's FDA cleared, and they're seeing results very quickly.
End the embarrassing, painful patches and discoloration with Extract. There's no medications, no topical ointments, and virtually no side effects. Extract uses light to transform your skin and change your life. It's covered by all major insurances and Medicare, and will help you find a doctor close by.
I love what I do. I love coming in every day and making a difference in patients' lives. It's amazing.
Call now to live Extract clear. Call 800-961-9279. That's 800-961-9279. 800-961-9279 or visit xtracradio.com. Qualified patients, certain restrictions apply.
I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. If you own a home, there's a good chance its value has gone up. In fact, year over year, housing values nationwide have risen by more than 6%, one of the largest increases this decade. Quicken Loans has smart ways to help you take advantage of your home's rising equity. You could take cash out to consolidate debt, or you could refinance to eliminate private mortgage insurance. No matter what's happening with the housing market, it's always a smart move to call us at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.18%, APR 4.35%. Experience the confidence that comes from working with a mortgage partner that has your best interest in mind. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN today or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Visit JDPower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
7:07 in our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. In the south suburbs, northbound 394 has delays from Glenwood Dyer Road before Thornton Lansing. There was a car fire southbound. It's been put out. All lanes are open. Eden's 28 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 23. The Kennedy is now 51 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 20 minutes from Montrose, 16 on the Express. Outbound 32 minutes to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower knotted up from Wolf to past Harlem, then Costner to the Circle. 57 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 34. Stevenson, 58 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. 48 from the Tri-State. Outbound 35 minutes to 355. To Ryan is 32 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, slow 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State delays, 95th to 87th. Plainfield Road to the Hinsdale Oasis, and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. The other tollways are still fairly light. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, some sun, then turning cloudy. High 43. Clearing tonight, low 21. Tomorrow, partly sunny, breezy and colder, high 31. Partly cloudy and cold tomorrow night with a low 18. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
33 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. HealthQuest Radio is heard Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
We come together in solidarity and come out like this, and we'll be all right. At least they hear us.
I've been doing conservative healthcare reform for 20 years. For 20 years, we as conservatives have been arguing for equalizing the tax treatment of healthcare for all Americans so we can have a vibrant individual market so we have choice and competition.
But I think the idea that we are having these ongoing disclosures of national security and classified information should be something that everybody is outraged in this country.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And Amy, yesterday being that day without a woman thing, you know.
Yeah.
You heroically crossed
a day without woman.
The picket line and
Yes.
fled the leftist Harridans and came to work anyway. Michael Bennett, he's defensive end for the Seattle Seahawks, all-pro. He writes in the Players Tribune about supporting the International Women's Day yesterday and the women's strike and all that jazz. He said, as a black man in America, I sometimes get overwhelmed and discouraged by what I see, from the police killings of unarmed black men to the unequal education system to the mass incarceration of poor people of color in for-profit prisons. But when I look in my daughter's eyes, I see the courage of Harriet Tubman, the patience of Rosa Parks, the soul of Ida B. Wells, the passion of Fannie Lou Hamer, and the heart of Angela Davis. The heart of Angela Davis, she's a communist. I see the future, I see hope, and I'm inspired because it will be women who lead the future. It's why I'm writing to express my unconditional solidarity with the women's strike on International Women's Day, March 8th. Michael Bennett, Seattle Seahawks. You know, it's so difficult. The culture in the NFL is a left culture. The culture in sport is a left culture. The culture at ESPN is part of the left culture. We talk about it all the time.
Well, that's why the ratings are down, and they're cutting $100 million.
And on-air talent.
On-air talent,
Yeah,
radio
yeah.
and TV.
Losing 3 million subscribers a year. Part of that is the decoupling of the unbundling, I should say, of cable networks in terms of the a la carte world we're going to. But part of it is the leftist bent, the politicization of everything, and also and only one perspective, which is why it's so refreshing when you have people step up to provide a different perspective, particularly when it's informed by their faith. One such athlete who killed it for me in 2015 on the Saints, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to. I mean, he's with the Ravens. I'd like to see him hook back up with Drew Brees because he put
In
up
your
some,
fantasy football?
Yeah, put up some nice stats in 2015.
Good work. Dude.
But Ben Watson is tight end with the Ravens, as I mentioned. He was. Remember, we profiled him a little bit when he was at the March for Life in January because he gave a speech that was very well received, and he also spoke with Fox News. And here's a little bit of where Ben Watson is coming from when it comes to the issue of life.
We shouldn't be surprised. You know, a lot of times when these things happen, especially when there is a spiritual component of it, the reason why I stand for life is because I believe God created all life, and we live in a world that is anti-God in a lot of ways. So we can't be surprised when certain things get more play than others. But that doesn't deter us from the truth. One of the things that I said was that we have to stand firm on truth, no matter if people like it or not, or if it gets play on the air or not. It doesn't change what's important. It doesn't change what is true.
It's pretty well said. And now we go deep intellectually speaking.
Oh, I see what
There's
you
a
did
little
there.
sports metaphor there. With Ben Watson, Ravens tight end, and the author of the new book, Under Our Skin, Getting Real About Race. Ben Watson, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
Good morning. So with the thesis of your book, Under Our Skin, Getting Real About Race Relations in America, and frankly, if there's anything that you've taken away from your more than a dozen years in the NFL that informs what you're arguing for in your book.
Definitely. Well, you know, Under Our Skin, basically, it's kind of a twofold meaning. Obviously, I do believe that we are all God's creation. We were created in the image of God, giving us the ability of strong emotional response depending on our background or whether it's economic or cultural ethnicity, whatever it may be. We all have a certain response to when we see these things happen on TV. So I wrote the book Under Our Skin to do just that, to inspire and kind of make people get into the conversation in a way that is loving, but also one that is true and real, because these conversations that need to be had are raw. Healing from this issue in America is tough. It's proven to be tough, and it's going to be tough moving forward, because it's one that, again, like I said, we all deal with, and sometimes we don't quite know how to approach.
Do you believe that there's still racial injustices going on in everyday America right now?
I'm sorry, I missed that question.
Do you believe that there's racial injustices going on still to this day in America?
Of course I do. I definitely do. I think that, when you look at, again, the history of our country, when you look at man in general, our hearts are evil. We're born that way. We're born prideful, and we take advantage of each other in many ways. Specifically when it comes to racial injustice in America, and you look at some of the things I heard you say earlier, when you look at incarceration rates, when you look at poverty, when you look at economics, look at those things, there's always two components to it. There's a systemic component based upon certain systems that have been in place for a very long time, certain areas of privilege that have been in place, and then there's a personal responsibility part of it, that everyone has an opportunity to make decisions for themselves when it comes to being a father to your children, when it comes to being a husband to your wife, when it comes to taking advantage of the opportunities that you are presented. Even if those opportunities are different from someone else's, we all have a certain responsibility. So part of the book, I talk about the concept of both and. They can both be true. We live in a very politicized time where you have to pick a side, and you can never cross to the other side, or else you're maligned by the group that you're supposed to think like. But I think that there can be truth in both sides. It can be true that there's racial injustice, and it can also be true that even though there's racial injustice, I will still tell my children to act as if there's not racial injustice, and I will encourage them that they can do everything that they want to do in life.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's the personal responsibility piece that we don't talk very much about, and we manufacture injustice where there isn't, and we paper over injustice where there is, oftentimes, too. Racial injustice exists. Of course it does. So do a lot of other injustices on every day, because of what you said previously, which is like the fundamental thing that if you don't get, I think it's very difficult to get to a good place with people who come from different perspectives. If you don't get that people are inherently evil, the man is inherently evil, not inherently good, he cannot be perfected other than through, the love of Christ in the next life, then you don't get anything. And then it all kind of devolves into these, to me, exhausting conversations that you see on cable news shows, or that you see on the streets between one protest group versus another.
Exactly. And if you don't, like you said, if you're not allowed to see that at its root, it's a heart issue, and at its root, there is a sin component to this, and there's a spiritual component to this. You also will not be able to, because something's not your experience, you won't have empathy for that. You won't be able to hear someone's story when they perceive something to be racially charged, and you also won't be able to hear someone's story when they think that, this wasn't a racial incident and they've experienced other types of discrimination in their life. You won't have any compassion for that. And so what the gospel does do is it makes us decide, because we care about people, it makes us decide to discover what is true. And also, even if we don't agree, it makes us want to fight for justice for everyone and for all people, even if we think that there may not be none there, because we know that when people perceive us caring about their situation, then they're more likely to respond to the gospel that we preach.
There's a friend of ours here at the show, is a local entrepreneur named Robert Blackwell. He started a table tennis company called Killer Spin, and he's an African-American entrepreneur. He sent me something that was very interesting, because we've had some issues with race day seminars at local schools in Chicago and such, and very politicized and always coming from the left in terms of economics, much less anything else. He sent me something very interesting. Annual revenues, this is census data, annual revenues of employer firms headed by whites versus other racial groups. Whites in America, $9.4 trillion. Women, $1 trillion. Asians, $455 billion. Hispanics, $275 billion. Blacks in America, $99 billion. 1/3 of Hispanics, 1/5 of Asians, 1/10 of women, 1/100th of whites. And his point is to say this is an economic opportunity problem. We obsess about Black Lives Matter and about race, and there's a poverty problem. There's an economics problem that isn't being addressed and isn't being solved. And the other thing he challenges me is name a successful Black-owned company that's not multi-millionaire, billionaire that's not in entertainment or sports. And it's a challenge to do that. And that's his point as well. So what about that component of it? Is the kind of the economic opportunity? It's a discussion about poverty as much as it is about race.
Well, I think I agree that it is a discussion about poverty, and it's a discussion about. But I think that whole discussion points to the issue of systemic racism. When you look at a situation where blacks, the highly net worth Black individuals that own these companies, as you mentioned, own entertainment, things like that, and there's this great disparity, it's because of what many would call a certain 400-year head start. That in and of itself points to the fact that many Blacks for the first time in their family history have had a chance to go to college. I mean, my parents were born in 1956. They're not very old. But when you consider that the Voting Rights Act wasn't until 64, even though legally they could vote, they were prevented from doing so. And these are my parents. This is one generation. And so there is great progress being made. I think what we do sometimes is we don't celebrate the progress as much as we should. And a lot of times as people, we focus on the negative. And as you're saying, there is a great economic opportunity there. And the hope is that we see that collectively, not just Black or white, but we see that collectively and say, look, there will never be a time where everything is exactly fair, 50-50. That's not what that's a pipe dream. Blacks make up 13% of America. That's not going to happen. And I don't think that that's what we're striving for. But what people are striving for, Black and white together, is equal opportunities for people to make these jumps economically with employment, with education, those sorts of things.
Hey, Benjamin Watson, have you always had God in your life?
Well, yes, I became a Christian when I was at a very young age. I was about 6 years old when I put my faith and trust in Jesus Christ. I grew up kind of in the church and knowing the right answers, but there comes a point in every person's life where they have to make a decision for themselves. The Bible says through repentance and faith that you pass from death to life. And when I was very young, I kind of had that understanding, and I've obviously grown since then. But I trusted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior to forgive me of my sin and to make me right with a holy God that I couldn't be made right with other than his shed blood. And so my faith is how I view the world. My worldview is based on my faith. And so when I look at different things in the world, we're supposed to be in the world but not of it. So we're supposed to, as believers, care about what's going on in our world, care about our community, care about people that agree with us and those who don't, people who are different religions. We care about them as well. We care about people's well-being. And while we're in the world, we're supposed to be ambassadors for Christ. And one of the ways that I want to do that is by, number one, people knowing that I care about three things, that I care about truth, that I care about justice, and that I care about righteousness. And so the things that are important to God, which it says in Jeremiah, I want them to be important to me. So my faith really does, control and motivate me to try to be the best father I can be, try to be the best husband, the best teammate, the best employee that I can be, and to use my talents to the best of my ability to give God glory.
He is Benjamin Watson, tight end for the Baltimore Ravens. Tell Joe Flacco to throw you the ball some more. Author of the book, Under Our Skin, Getting Real About Race. Benjamin Watson, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Good luck with the book. Yeah, it's great.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hey, today some sunshine, then some clouds mixing in. Actually, there's some high clouds right now mixing in. Pretty cool from what we're used to, a high of 41 degrees. Tonight, a low in the 20s. Weeks. And then Friday, partly sunny, a lot colder, a high in the low 30s. Let's get into our alarm detection systems. Traffic Center, here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. 394 has delays in both directions south of Thornton Lansing Road after a car fire on the southbound side. Edens Expressway, 28 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 25. The Kennedy is 51 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 20 from Montrose, 16 on the Express. Outbound 32 to the airport for the Eisenhower. 56 minutes from Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 34. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 35 minutes. The line is 33 minutes from 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive now has southbound delays from Belmont to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound 31st to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State slow 95th to 87th from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis. And from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue, the other tollway is still mostly light. Veterans Memorial, a little slow approaching the Reagan Tollway. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Running a business can be challenging, especially in Illinois. Mountains of regulations, taxes, fees, more may be coming, like a Netflix tax that was proposed at the state level.
I don't touch my Netflix.
I'm telling you. Business owners who manage to survive and thrive deserve to be recognized, and that's exactly what we at AM 560 are doing this spring. We've been hitting the road, and we'll continue hitting that road on the AM 560 Business Tour presented by Signature Bank. It's a way for us to celebrate local businesses, overcoming the odds, and succeeding. Think of it as making businesses great again. We're giving back to the business community by broadcasting our show live from various locations throughout the region. So does your business have a great success story? If so, we want to hear about it. Go to 560theanswer.com/business. Fill out the brief form to tell us about how you and your business are beating the odds to serve your clients and community. We'll select several more businesses as stops on our AM 560 Business Tour and broadcast from your location as we did at Zanger's Industrial Supply in Melrose Park yesterday.
Yes, they have nice tools there.
They do. To share
Very
your success
large.
with our audience, go to 560theanswer.com/business to tell us your story, 560theanswer.com/business, and we may be stopping at your location this spring on the AM 560 Business Tour presented by Signature Bank.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if
Balance
anything
of
were to
Nature's
happen
fruits
to you?
and veggies.
If you
I was
answered yes.
diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you? You don't even look like the same person." He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-400-8249. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-400-8249. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-400-8249. 1-800-400-8249.
What's the scariest thing about going to the dentist? Opening your mouth or opening your wallet? Because just a simple cleaning can cost $100, and things like root canals can cost you hundreds more. If you don't have dental insurance to help, you should give Physicians Mutual Insurance Company a call. 1-800-500-0898. This isn't a discount plan or preventive-only coverage. This is real dental insurance that helps pay for checkups right away, so you can call today and get your teeth cleaned tomorrow. Plus, it helps cover the more expensive procedures you might need down the road. Fillings, crowns, bridges, even costly dentures. There's no deductible and no annual maximum. Your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired or on Medicare. There are no networks, so you can choose any dentist you'd like. That's right, any dentist you want. Call and we'll rush you a free information kit with all the details. 1-800-500-0898. That's 1-800-500-0898. 1-800-500-0898.
Great talent is the driving force behind your successful business. If you don't have the right people in key roles, then you have talent gaps. IMC Solutions identifies those gaps and delivers expertise in recruiting the right talent to fill them, leaving you free to succeed.
Hi, I'm Linda Nichols, founder of IMC Solutions. We're a niche recruiting and staffing firm that specializes in placing human resources and sales professionals. We've created programs that are just right for your small to medium-sized business because we know that you're looking for expertise, but are also looking at the bottom line expenses to your company. You can take advantage of recruiting services that big companies get, but you don't have to pay the big fees. Our programs and solutions are affordable and bring you the people you need.
IMC Solutions understands the unique challenges of your business, making the tough job of hiring easy. Get started on finding your next hire today at imcsolutions.com or call Linda Nichols at 630-637-6200.
Hey, your company's IT partner should be more than just a place you call when you're having computer problems. Today, IT is beyond just hardware and software. IT is about a relationship between technology and the people who work with it. And that's where our good friends at Turnkey IT make a difference. They're an IT company, but the best people company you can imagine. They help people use IT better. Now, people need help from computers and servers to cloud-based systems, cybersecurity, and advanced phone systems. People also need help finding out what's out there and how to implement exactly what they need, all with the support of the best team around that resolves issues quickly. People remember the good experiences they receive when working with Turnkey IT. Shouldn't your business receive the same white glove treatment? See what other AM 560 listeners already know about Turnkey IT. They're local, reputable, compassionate, and experienced. It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro today. Turnkey IT just does IT better. Visit turnkey.pro. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
What would he do if he were still Attorney General on leaks and surveillance? We'll talk to former George W. Bush Attorney General Alberto Gonzales at 7:37.
But first, once again, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
34 degrees, cloudy skies, a little bit of sun poking through, and just north of our border in Wisconsin, a bit of snow this morning. House members pulled an all-nighter hashing out details of a bill repealing the Affordable Care Act. Republicans like Representative Greg Walden of Oregon arguing that the individual mandate had failed to bring young people into the insurance market.
You stuck it to the younger generation. You stuck it to the younger generation.
Will the chairman yield?
No, I will not yield. You stuck it to the younger generation, and they said, not buying what you're selling.
House Energy and Commerce Committee markup hearing continues into the early morning hours. Ways and Means Committee approved a final round of tax provisions on a party line vote. The Trump administration looking at cutting the Department of Housing and Urban Development budget by more than $6 billion. Documents obtained by the Washington Post show a preliminary HUD budget slashing nearly $2 billion from funds dedicated to public housing, eliminating the Community Development Block Grant Program, funding local improvement efforts and some anti-poverty programs. World stock markets are down after news of a big buildup in U.S. oil stockpiles that's depressing crude prices, and stocks are down in Britain and Germany. Utah could soon have the strictest DUI threshold in the nation. State lawmakers last night voting to lower the limit for a driver's blood alcohol content to 0.05%, down from 0.08. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson in Springfield this morning trying to convince lawmakers to approve tougher punishments for repeat gun offenders. And the Illinois Department of Corrections is finally revealing why they moved Drew Peterson to a federal prison in Indiana. IDOC telling Channel 9 the move was requested because the former Bolingbrook police officer was labeled a threat to safety and security of the department. That is a quote. Peterson was transferred last month from the Menard Correctional Center to a prison in Terre Haute, Indiana. Orlando over the Bulls, 98-91. Xavier knocks DePaul out of the Big East men's basketball tournament, 75-64. The news service of Burger King breakfast. What's the best place to have your breakfast? How about on a warm croissant? Right now at Burger King, get 2 Croissandwich breakfast sandwiches for just $4. A light, flaky croissant piled high with savory sausage or delicious, thick-cut smoked bacon. 2 Croissandwich, $4 only at Burger King. Price and participation vary. 7:33, it's time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Joe Walsh Show.
Governor Greg Abbott is threatening any Texas city that becomes a sanctuary city. That if you don't reverse course and cease and desist your sanctuary city status, the state's going to cut you off. Man, that's the way to do it. It's my hope that Trump's going to do the same thing.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you hiring? Join the over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. Post your next job opening on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
Sometimes things don't turn out the way you expect them to, like Chicagoland weather.
It's so unpredictable. Should I wear shorts or do I need a winter coat?
I think the weather people just throw darts at a board and guess. Oh, look, I got rain.
No matter what the weather throws at us, be ready. Smart businesses rely on Air Comfort to keep them and their customers warm or cool, depending on which way our weather turns. Air Comfort is one of the largest commercial and industrial service groups in the Chicago area, with dedicated factory-trained technicians that take a scientific approach to analyzing your system. They have comprehensive year-round preventative maintenance programs and emergency service, plus design, build, and install equipment for new construction and retrofits of existing mechanical systems. Now is a great time to call Air Comfort and schedule an analysis of your company's mechanical system by their certified, award-winning engineering team. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
7:35. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Eden's delays start around Devon. 27 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 25. Kennedy, delays start at Canfield. 55 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 25 from Montrose. 22 in the Express, outbound 36 to the airport. The Eisenhower's an hour and 7 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. 54 minutes from Manheim, outbound 38 to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 3:55 to the drive. Outbound 35 minutes. Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State delays are in pockets between 95th and 31st. Then from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue, Veterans Memorial stop and go. 75th for the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. Traffic is a service of Liberty Mutual. From weather to traffic and everything in between, you have enough things to worry about every day. Insurance shouldn't be one of them. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. A little bit of sun this morning, turning cloudy this afternoon, high 41. A chilly low of 22 overnight, currently 33. Next news at 8, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Kelly Financial Services, helping you secure your financial future today. Visit kellyfinancialservicesinc.com.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. All right, it's time for one of our favorite segments, Moot Court with former United States Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, who is now the dean of the Belmont University School of Law in Scenic, Tennessee, where all of Illinois is moving. Belmont, Amy.
Home of the Fighting...
The Bruins.
Bruins, yeah.
Belmont Bruins.
Belmont Bruins. I know that, yes.
Okay.
I've been reminded of it.
Attorney
Again.
General Gonzales, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
I'm happy to be with you again.
Every time we have you on, it allows me to extract some value from my law degree, so I appreciate it. But before we get to all the wiretapping and FISA court stuff, I wanted to get your opinion on something we've talked to you about before, which is Trump's executive order on immigration. We talked to you about the first iteration of it. He revised and reintroduced it this week, a little bit more explicit on some of the parts that were open to interpretation and thus confusion in the previous one. Iraq is substantially reduced as one of the countries of security concern, and Rex Tillerson explained why. What's your reaction to the revised edition of the executive order on this topic?
I think it's stronger. I think it's less likely it's going to be struck down by the courts, although, honestly, in this area, and I'm sad to say this, in this political climate, sometimes it's hard to predict how judges are going to come out on a particular issue. But I do think that it's difficult for the court to listen to the Secretary of State, Secretary of Homeland Security, and the Attorney General say, as a matter of national security, we need to have this ban in order to secure our country. I mean, what resources or what expertise does a federal judge have to second guess those claims by our national security experts? And so I think it really presents a hurdle to a judge to say, well, I know better. I don't believe you. I'm going to listen to the campaign comments made about banning Muslims from America. I just think that it's going to be tough for a judge to overlook the learned opinions of our national security experts. But again, I've been surprised before by courts and by judges, and we'll have to wait and see.
Well, do you think these judges are politically motivated? Is that why they're trying to stop this executive order?
No, look, I would never accuse a judge, both either federal or state, of being politically motivated. I do know that, judges are human beings, and try as we might, having been a former judge myself, sometimes you're affected by your own personal experiences and biases. You try to recognize that those exist and set them aside. Be especially alert to those biases when deciding a case in which you might have a strong personal view about. But nonetheless, sometimes those creep into a decision. And, again, I'm not suggesting that's going to happen in this case, but it's just hard to predict how judges will come out on an issue that's politically charged as this one.
So this week, in addition to that matter, there's, of course, the dueling allegations of surveillance, skullduggery. Everybody wants a special prosecutor to prosecute everyone else. It's like a Jerky Boys sketch. And so walk us through, as a former attorney general, walk us through kind of the protocol and the process of determining whether a special prosecutor is needed in a particular matter, whether it's with respect to relationships with foreign governments, as it continues to be alleged by Democrats about Trump and his associates, or whether it's with respect to questionable surveillance of a subject like, I don't know, a Republican presidential candidate.
Well, it's a pretty serious decision to be made by the Department of Justice, in part because we've had a sort of not a very successful history with special prosecutors in the past. And I think that both members of Congress and people in the executive branch are really somewhat wary of special prosecutors because oftentimes they spend a lot of money, and they often go into very tangential areas. They go off on a tangent and start exploring other activities and other events that happened beyond what they were first commissioned to do. So, I think the default position is there's not going to be a special prosecutor appointed. As a general matter, the question is whether or not the department believes that it has the confidence of the American people to do an investigation, because at the end of the day, it's really not about a particular person or a particular department doing the investigation. What is at issue here is the integrity of the investigation and the confidence that the American people will have in the integrity of that investigation. And so people at the department will make an analysis, they'll reach a judgment as to whether or not, okay, not only do we have the resources, but we believe that we can do this in a way that the American people will have confidence in the outcome of our investigation, and our conclusion as to whether or not a crime has been committed, and our conclusion as to whether or not we have enough here to prosecute that crime. So again, it's a very difficult decision to be made. My view is the default position is going to be that a special prosecutor will not be appointed. But again, this is another situation where it's become extremely politicized and it's high profile. And at the end of the day, that may carry the day for the department, who may say, there's just so much at stake here. There's so little confidence this can be done impartially within the department because it potentially could implicate, the White House, perhaps the Attorney General, who was obviously very high profile, very influential advisor during the campaign. But so we'll have to wait and see.
A former colleague of yours, also a former Attorney General of the United States under George W. Bush, Mike Mukasey, was on the Sunday talk shows this week, and he had an interesting perspective on this. He essentially said, "Look, I don't believe that the President of the United States ordered any surveillance of candidate Trump, but I believe that it's possible that surveillance occurred and it wasn't at the hands of the former president, the Justice Department, so on and so forth. Maybe incidental, maybe not. We don't know. The only way that we could really know is for the FISA applications that were apparently made in June and October of last year, and particularly the one that was apparently granted, according to news reports, to be made public. And that's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to make that public, even if it would answer these open-ended questions and end some of the speculation. Do you agree with Mukasey's assessment? And if so, why should or shouldn't those FISA warrants be made public?
Well, first of all, I don't think you'd have to go so far as to make the applications public. I mean, you could simply ask those individuals who would have been involved in that decision as to whether or not was there an application made and was there a warrant granted. Obviously, General Clapper has already publicly commented that no such thing occurred. Now, I understand second hand, third hand, fourth hand, however you want to call it. The FBI director has also indicated that that didn't happen. Again, I'd like to hear it directly from the FBI director as opposed to unnamed sources.
Yeah,
I think that there is a danger with respect to releasing applications. It will, of course, include classified information, which can be redacted. But once you open the gate and you show an application publicly, it makes it much more difficult in the future whenever a third party who's been possibly subject to a wiretap under a FISA order and goes into court and says, I want to see it, I want it disclosed. And for the federal government to say, well, no, for national security reasons, we don't do that. We never do that. And so this opens the gate just a bit, and I think creates a problem for the national security of our country going forward. And for that reason, I don't think we have to go so far as to release the application. I think we can go to the people that would know, that would have been involved in the preparation of the application and going to the FISA court.
Yeah, but here's the problem. And it goes back to what you said about the investigation and in our conversation about special prosecutor. If you don't have the confidence of the American people, if you're not seen as legitimate or at least an honest broker, then your word turns out not to be the end of the discussion on the matter. And unfortunately, I think that's the case right now with Jim Comey and others, particularly in the deep state or formerly of the deep state.
Well, if we've gotten to that point, I think we've got a lot more serious problems than this particular issue and the question as to whether or not to release a FISA application. I don't think we've gotten that. I don't think we've gotten there. At least I certainly hope not. Again, I do think it's really just a question of simply asking the right people and having the people provide the answer. I think President Trump, I agree with General Mukasey that I don't think that President Obama simply ordered a wiretap of individuals at Trump Tower. I think it's certainly possible. I'm not suggesting that this is in reality, but it's certainly possible that there was an ongoing investigation of Russian influence over the election. And obviously, if there were communications between Russian officials and officials in the Trump campaign, and there may have been innocent communications, but nonetheless, communications may have been captured in connection with that investigation, which the authority to engage in that surveillance may have been through a validly issued FISA warrant. I think that's far more likely to have been the case than simply President Obama saying, go ahead and tap all the phones, including Donald Trump in Trump Tower.
Well, where does this alleged wiretapping story, where does it go from here? I mean, President Trump hasn't tweeted about it since he did over the weekend, and what happens now?
Well, I understand that Senators Lindsey Graham and Sheldon Whitehouse have now asked the Department of Justice and the FBI for all information, documentation relating to possible wiretapping, and I suspect it will have asked for the FISA, any documentation relating to the application and the warrant itself, and they may get it, they may not, assuming I don't know what's there to get, but so Donald Trump and the White House has asked for a congressional investigation, and that's what's going to happen, and so we'll see what happens.
He is Alberto Gonzales, former United States Attorney General under President George W. Bush, as well as former counsel to the president, now the dean of the Belmont University School of Law. General Gonzales, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, Arambe strikes back. But first, here's your forecast for today. Some clouds, some sun. It will be cool, a high of 41 degrees, but nothing like what we're going to see the next few days. Tonight we go to a low of 22 degrees, so winter is not gone. And Friday, partly sunny, a high of just 31 degrees. Any high travel times? Let's get the latest from Jim Talamonte, who joins us from our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Thanks, Amy. It's getting heavier on the Kennedy. That travel time's up to 1 hour and 9 minutes from O'Hare to downtown. It's 39 minutes from Montrose, 34 in the Express. Outbound 38 downtown to the airport. Eden's 24 minutes, Lake Hook Junction. Outbound 28 minutes, the Eisenhower. 1 hour and 16 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. 1 hour and 2 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 50 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 1 hour and 13 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 35 minutes. Lyons, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive. Slow Lawrence to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound 31st to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State bottled up from Harlem to 47th. The Reagan Toy to North Avenue and very slow Central Road to Willow. Veterans Memorial from 75th to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. And Barrington westbound Northwest Highway is closed. Hart to Cuba for crash investigation. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. The left doesn't need to learn new tricks if the old ones work just fine. The whipped-up frenzy around Attorney General Jeff Sessions is little more than fodder for a couple of episodes of some hackneyed Aaron Sorkin TV drama. It's not an occasion for Republicans to wet themselves, as some have. It's not an occasion for Republicans to adopt the high dudgeon of Senator Stuart Smalley, as some are. And it's not an occasion for Republicans to provide fuel for the gaslighting by the left on Russian influence on the Trump administration or impact on the 2016 election. William F. Buckley commented that relative to the left, conservatives do a poor job of picking up their wounded on the battlefield. True. What we essentially have here is Jeff Sessions cutting himself shaving while putting on his uniform. He then stopped his bleeding with his recusal on 2016 campaign-related investigations. Compare that to the wounds inflicted by bad actors at the IRS, for example, who illegally targeted Americans based on their religious and political beliefs and have yet to be held accountable. Jeff Sessions is our general for justice. We should encourage him to lead, and we should follow him into battle.
Do you own or run a business in Illinois that succeeded in this challenging economic environment? If so, we want to hear about it. AM 560's Business Tour 2017, presented by Signature Bank, will be highlighting business success stories. Tell us your story and be a part of a live broadcast of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy. Find out more and submit your information at 560theanswer.com/business. That's 560theanswer.com/business.
You're the one that gets it done. The person your friends call to see if you can fix it. Brakes? No biggie. Shocks and struts? Simple and straightforward. The catalytic converter heat shield? Come on. If it has wheels, you can make it go. But not having the right part can bring your project to a screeching halt. Problem solved with MyPartsGarage.com. My Parts Garage is not a big box store that needs to wait to get a part in. My Parts Garage is the warehouse that sells wholesale to you. They own the inventory, so your part is always in stock. But wait, there's more. Like free shipping within 24 hours, in-state next-day delivery, or pick it up today at the warehouse. Plus, the customer service is seriously awesome. So the last thing you need to do is drive fast and furiously to find auto parts. With the average driver in Chicago commuting at least 24 miles per day, people are spending more hours in their car than they do at home. Drivers need you, the mechanic. You need MyPartsGarage.com. Lowest prices guaranteed.
If you have pain, I hope you listen up. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You don't need to live in pain. Let me repeat that. You do not have to live in pain. Chronic pain is the worst, whether it's from an accident or pain that just develops. Chicagoland, you're in luck. Dr. Ken Candido is one of the nation's most respected and successful pain doctors. He's been voted one of Chicago's best pain doctors several times. Bottom line, he's the pain doctor you need. Dr. Candido of Chicago Anesthesia and Pain Specialists will help you get off pain medication and all of the side effects. How? By finding the source of your chronic pain and fixing it.
This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. Let's make you pain-free.
Call Dr. Ken Candido and make an appointment with a cutting-edge, respected, and successful pain physician. Go to mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com. Thousands have been helped with their chronic pain, and you could be the next one. Get the phone number and all the info you need at mypainchicago.com. That's mypainchicago.com.
Are you buying or selling a business or starting a business? Maybe you have legal problems with a business partner or employees, or are just drowning in new regulations. You need the support of a law firm that concentrates in a wide range of business law and tax matters. You need the corporate team at Kelleher & Buckley. Whether you're a local mom and pop shop, middle market business, or a large corporation or franchise, they provide cost-effective legal solutions to help your businesses thrive. The lawyers of Kelleher & Buckley focus on targeted legal advice tailored to meet the specific needs of your business. You deserve competent legal representation from a law firm maintaining a high level of knowledge about the ever-changing laws governing businesses. One that also includes accountants and tax specialists on board to provide your business bottom-line solutions. Kelleher & Buckley, LLC of North Barrington and Chicago is a legal solution provider that also includes estate planning, asset protection, life insurance planning, and litigation. Keep your business on track. Call 847-382-9130 or online at kelleherbuckley.com.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. Now there's finally a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. You can even add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP. And right now, you can try Transcend absolutely risk-free for 10 days. So call now, 1-800-400-5952. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light, you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. Enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. To receive your 10-day in-home trial, call minicpap.com now. 1-800-400-5952. Again, that's 1-800-400-5952.
The Joe Walsh Show.
Governor Greg Abbott is threatening any Texas city that becomes a sanctuary city. That if you don't reverse course and cease and desist your sanctuary city status, the state's going to cut you off. Man, that's the way to do it. It's my hope that Trump's going to do the same thing.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Attention. If you or a loved one has been surgically implanted with a hernia mesh implant, you may be at risk. Many mesh products used in hernia surgeries are defective and have been linked to severe complications, including chronic pain, infections, bowel obstruction, internal injury, or the need for corrective surgery. Even the FDA has issued warnings on mesh products. If you or a loved one has a hernia mesh implant and have experienced any of these symptoms, you may be entitled to significant compensation. The team at United Law will provide a free, no-obligation evaluation With over $1 billion recovered for victims of defective drugs and devices, United Law can help. The deadline to file your claim is approaching fast, and you need to act. So if you or a loved one has a hernia mesh implant that has caused chronic pain, infection, bowel obstruction, internal injury, or the need for corrective surgery, call United Law today and get the compensation you deserve. Call 800-755-5002. 800-755-5002. That's 800-755-5002.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
An NYU thought experiment doesn't quite work out how the snowflakes thought it would at 8:08.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, CTU considering a one-day strike. We'll tell you why. A woman charged with murdering her boyfriend by forcing him to drink bleach. Not a fun day on an Amtrak train headed for Chicago. And the Magic beat the Bulls. Some sun in your forecast today, then turning cloudy this afternoon. Your full forecast after Fox. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. It's been a long night is an understatement on Capitol Hill.
If the Republicans think that they can do better, they have to show how. And we don't believe that this bill makes things better.
New Jersey Democrat Frank Pallone, as the House Energy and Commerce Committee continues to take up amendments on the new health care bill in session for nearly 24 hours now.
There's no protections for those that are older in here. None.
New Mexico Congressman Ben Lujan arguing one change amounts to an age tax. Georgia Republican Buddy Carter.
This is not an age tax. We are giving a tax credit, more of a tax credit to those older people who need it.
Though some conservative Republicans say tax credits replacing subsidies amounts to another entitlement. The House Ways and Means Committee approving the bill in the wee hours this morning. One of the Trump administration's proposed budget cuts reportedly puts a popular grant program on the chopping block. Fox Radio's John Decker live at the White House.
The proposed budget for housing and urban development would be cut by about 14% or $6 billion in the next fiscal year, which includes slashing nearly $2 billion from funds dedicated to public housing. The Washington Post reports it would also eliminate the Community Development Block Grant Program, which funds anti-poverty programs. Also facing cuts, programs that help fund housing for homeless veterans, disabled people, and the elderly. A HUD spokesman said the proposed budget document is still a work in progress. President Trump plans to submit his full budget to Congress next week. Lisa?
Thanks, John. More Americans applying for unemployment benefits last week, but claims still low enough to suggest most workers enjoying job security. There was a 20,000 uptick to a seasonally adjusted 243,000. Dow futures are lower, but not by as much as they had been. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
34 degrees, cloudy skies. Winds are out of the north at 5 at 8:02. On AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson up early pressing the flesh in Springfield, trying to convince Illinois lawmakers to approve tougher punishments for repeat gun offenders. The city's top cop is scheduled to testify in Springfield today. Chicago Teachers Union considering a one-day strike in May, protesting the city school board possibly ending the school year 3 weeks early.
The board goes ahead with the threat of canceling 3 weeks of school. We would view their action as a massive violation of our contract, and that could provoke a strike.
Union House of Delegates panel approving a discussion period yesterday leading up to an April 5th vote. A Chicago woman is charged with murdering her boyfriend by forcing him to drink bleach. On the south side, authorities say Yasmin Elder got into a fight with Darius Ellis this week inside a van near 65th and Bishop. Elder was then able to overpower the victim and pour bleach down his throat. Ellis was pronounced dead at the hospital later that morning after he was found lying on the ground near where that incident happened. And more than 100 Amtrak passengers now have a real whale of a story to tell their families about a winter's day in North Dakota. The Amtrak train headed for Chicago got stuck in Rugby yesterday for nearly 13 hours after slamming into a snowbank. Chicago-bound train was coming from Minot. After being delayed there, workers had to get out the shovels and manually remove the snow in order to get that train moving again. Orlando beat the Bulls 98-91 last night. The news service of Lead Safe America. More than 1 in 3 American kids has lead in their blood. No level of lead is safe. Lead poisoning causes learning disabilities and behavioral disorders. Has your child been tested? Learn more at leadsafeamerica.org. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. From the Fox Business Network and a service of Turnkey.pro, here's Carol Zimmer.
From the Fox Business Network, Lego reported flat sales in the U.S. for the full year despite spending more on marketing here, but the Danish toy maker is still doing well in Europe. This is an important time for Lego as the company faces challenges to maintain strong growth while conquering new markets such as India and China. Retailer Urban Outfitters is having some trouble connecting with customers who don't like what the chain is selling. Same-store sales for Anthropologie, which the chain owns, were down 2.9% in the recent quarter. And when it comes to food, some big companies are feeling the pinch from upstarts. Chobani now sells more yogurt than Yoplait and has become the country's biggest yogurt brand. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Carol Zimmer.
It's 8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You need to understand that the way you build wealth is you do not use the evening news or CNN or Fox to set the tone of your emotions around your investing.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
If you're thinking of changing your investing patterns because you're watching the news, you need to turn off the news. You are in charge of your destiny.
Dave Ramsey. Weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans. Changes in Washington are not only affecting the nation's economy, but your family's as well. Quicken Loans can show you how to take advantage of a cash-out refinance to pay off credit card debt or invest in home improvements. In fact, you may be able to eliminate private mortgage insurance. No matter what's happening in Washington, it's always a smart move to call us at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.18%, APR 4.35%. Experience the confidence that comes from working with a mortgage partner that has your best interest in mind. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the third year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN today or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
8:06. Let's check the roads. In the Alarm Detection System Traffic Center, here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Edens, heavy Foster to the junction. 21 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 27. The Kennedy is an hour and 9 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Crash just reported at Irving Park. 39 minutes from Montrose, 34 in the Express. Outbound 38 to the airport, the Eisenhower. An hour and 16 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. An hour and 2 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 50 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 13 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 35 minutes. Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 32 minutes, 8094 to the Merge. Lakeshore Drive delays southbound Lawrence to North Avenue and 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound from Oakwood to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State heavy, 95th to 31st. The Reagan Tollway to the Grand Avenue curve and at Slow Dempster to Willow. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Turning cloudy today with a high 43. Then we'll see clearing later tonight with a low 21. Breezy tomorrow, gusts up to 30 miles per hour in the morning. Otherwise, colder with partial sunshine, high 31. And a cold night, low 18. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
Currently at O'Hare, 36 degrees. We have cloudy skies and 37 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Radio Garden Sense, a show bringing your property's gardening needs alive. Radio Garden Sense, Sunday mornings at 11 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
We come together in solidarity and come out like this, and we'll be all right. At least they hear us.
I've been doing conservative healthcare reform for 20 years. For 20 years, we as conservatives have been arguing for equalizing the tax treatment of healthcare for all Americans so we can have a vibrant individual market so we have choice and competition.
But I think the idea that we are having these ongoing disclosures of national security and classified information should be something that everybody is outraged in this country.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Things are really bad for Hillary Clinton. She can't even win a mock debate at NYU. We'll get to that in just a second. But, Amy, I know you've been singing the praises of Chance the Rapper this week for his $1 million donation to be lit on fire by the Chicago public school system.
I mean, it's his money. He could do what he wanted with it, and he wanted to help the kiddies.
And I can react to it how I want.
Okay.
That's the lovely thing about a free society.
It's a lovely thing about talk radio.
Here's the thing.
Yes,
Chance's
dearest.
personal affairs. I wonder how you react to this. Last month, Kirsten Corley, the mother of Chance the Rapper's 18-month-old daughter, asked in court for temporary child support as well as money to obtain and furnish a home. She also wants an automobile. Corley, who's unemployed, maintains that she is the child's primary caregiver. The child support petition Corley filed says, quote, Kirsten is essentially being held hostage in Chancellor's residence, as on one hand, he will not assist her with the support necessary to obtain her own residence unless the entire matter is resolved on his terms. Yet on the other hand, she does not have knowledge of what specific objections Chancellor has to her counterproposal, and therefore it's impossible to resolve. Part of the reason there is an impasse is because Chance has requested that the court set his child support award below statutory guidelines of 20% of net income. Does the mother of his child, does she have a case to make to say, how about a little of that CPS largesse over here for me and your child?
Remember what I said during that piece, during the break? I said I've been hearing rumblings that his baby mama is not happy that he donated $1 million because he hasn't paid her yet. But now things get ugly during, they're not married. So, right? They're the baby mama.
She is the mother of his child. That's
Right.
the way I prefer to phrase that.
Okay, sorry. Excuse me.
But
she's trying to get out on her own, and she needs financial help.
Well,
and he's not going to give it to her because he wants the child to stay in his home.
It's his child.
I know.
Too, right?
Right.
So that's the issue.
Mhm.
Chance the Rapper, urban hero. Turning to NYU, this is a fun little thought experiment. NYU Associate Professor of Econ and Poli-Sci at the graduate school there came up with the idea after watching the second presidential debate between Trump and Hillary to do a gender role reversal. What kind of reactions would be elicited if Hillary spoke and acted like Trump and Trump acted and spoke like Hillary? How would the audience receive that as compared to how they received it when they were themselves?
Real life. Okay.
Joe Salvatore, an associate professor of educational theater at NYU, played the role of Trump being Hillary.
Okay.
And a woman named Rachel Wharton played the role of Hillary being Trump. All right.
Okay. Getting the visual.
The Salvatore, who's the associate professor who played Trump being Hillary, said he assumed that gender inversion would confirm what they each suspected watching the real-life debates, that Trump's aggression, his tendency to interrupt and attack, would never be tolerated in a woman, and that Clinton's competence and preparedness would seem even more convincing coming from a man. That's what they thought the outcome would be with respect to audience reactions. Here's how this played out. I'll give you a little snippet of their back and forth in this mock debate. Remember, you've got the woman, Hillary, playing the role of Trump in terms of
rhetoric and delivery and all that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then vice versa. Here's the exchange.
We are going to enforce the trade deals that we have, and we're going to hold people accountable. When I was Secretary of State, we actually increased American exports globally 30%. We increased them to China 50%. So I know how to really work to get new jobs and to get exports that help to create more new jobs.
But you haven't done it in 30 years, in 26 years.
Well, I've been a senator, Brenda, and I've been a Secretary of State, and I have done a lot.
One of the worst trade deals to ever happen to the manufacturing industry.
That is your opinion.
You go to England, you go to Ohio, Pennsylvania, you go anywhere you want, Secretary Gordon, and you will see devastation where manufacturers is down 30, 40, sometimes 50%. NAFTA is the worst trade deal maybe ever signed anywhere, but certainly ever signed in this country. And now you want to approve Trans-Pacific Partnership. You were totally in favor of it. Then you heard what I was saying, how bad it is, and you said, I can't win that debate. But you know that if you did win, you would approve that, and that would be almost as bad as NAFTA. Well, nothing will ever top NAFTA.
That is just not accurate. I was against it once it was finally negotiated and the terms were laid out. I wrote about that.
You called it the gold standard.
I wrote about. Well,
I hope it the gold standard of trade.
And you know what?
You said it's the finest deal you've ever seen.
No.
Then you heard what I was saying, and all of a sudden you were against it.
Well, I know you live in your own reality, Brenda, but
Yeah.
that is not the facts. The facts are, I did say I hoped it would be a good deal, but when it was negotiated, which I was not responsible for, I concluded it wasn't. I wrote about that in my book.
So is it President Obama's fault?
You even
Is it President Obama's fault?
Look, there are different.
Secretary, is it President Obama's
there
fault?
Are different,
because he's pushing it.
There are different views about what's good for our country, our economy, our leadership in the world.
I'll tell you what.
This is great.
They did a pretty good job. They did a pretty good job reprising the roles. And so, how did the students, who of course are left and inclined to be Hillary supporters, how did they react to Hillary as Trump and Trump as Hillary? They of course supported the Trump as Hillary because his competence, or her competence in his body, with his voice, her competence and preparedness overwhelmed them, right? No.
You know what?
Hillary lost again.
I can see why. I thought, gender role reversal made me like the Hillary as Trump better. I mean, the Republican side better. That is amazing.
Salvatore, who's the associate professor who played Trump being Hillary, he said, I've never had an audience be so articulate about something so immediately after the performance. For me, watching people, it was so informative. People across the board were surprised that their expectations about what they were going to experience were upended.
That's just proof that she really was a bad candidate.
and
a bad debater.
She's unlikable. Yeah, she's just.
I didn't think I'd feel this way.
She repels people. This is some of the responses he got from students.
Okay.
A number of Clinton supporters struggled to find in Gordon what had attracted them to Clinton. This is the this is the guy who was playing
the guy
Clinton
who's
as Trump.
Okay, it's confusing.
Instead, they said they found his style grating. Someone just said that he was really punchable because of all the smiling. A lot of people were just very surprised by the way it upended their expectations. I was surprised how critical I was seeing Clinton on a man's body, Salvatore said, and also by the fact that I didn't find Trump's behavior on a woman to be off-putting.
Yeah, I didn't either. I wasn't offended at all.
Salvatore, the professor, one of the professors that were the architects of this, I think I may have said Salvatore was the guy who played Trump. Another actor played Trump playing Hillary. So whatever. The names are not important. But Salvatore, the professor, said, in some ways I developed empathy for people who voted for Trump by doing this project, which is not what I was expecting. I expected it to make me more angry at them, but it gave me an understanding of what they might have heard or experienced when he spoke. It's really interesting. The thing about the nature, the presentation of Trump as Hillary, I was particularly struck by the post-performance discussions about effeminacy. People felt that the male version of Clinton was feminine, and that was bad. And he found, that to be a little bit upsetting. But just generally speaking, it was, a complete, here's the expectation they have, here's the political bent they're coming from, and then they actually see it play out in a, well-performed mock debate, and most come away doing a 180, even though they're, looking for a reason to support Hillary, which says something, as the professor said, about what people heard and saw when they were watching Trump that people who were just kind of blindly anti-Trump and for Hillary Clinton for whatever reason didn't pick up on, and thus were so stunned when what came to pass. Interesting thought experiment. Now that's
worth going to the university for.
That's something that starts to approximate higher education.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560, The Answer.
Yeah, sunshine right now, some high clouds. It's going to be a little cooler than we're used to, a high of 41 degrees, but enjoy that because we're going to have a string of days in the 30s and then some snow by Monday. Let's get into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's the one and only Jim Telemonte.
Thank you, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. Barrington westbound Northwest Highway remains closed from Hart to Cuba Road for investigation and cleanup of a Tuesday night crash. The Edens Expressway, 21 minutes like Cook to Montrose up on 26. The Kennedy, really heavy. The delay started Sayre, an hour and 14 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 36 minutes from Montrose, 30 in the Express. Hop on 35 to the airport. The Eisenhower, an hour and 22 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, an hour 7 from Mannheim. Hop on 47 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 9 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Hop on 36 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes. 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 30, 80-94 to the merge. There's a stalled semi at the Steel Bridge in the right lane. Tri-state delays are northbound. Archer to 31st. The Reagan Tollway to the Grand Avenue curve. And Oakton to Willow. There's road work on the Willow exit. Veterans Memorial. Stop and go Boughton to the Reagan Tollway. From the Army Trail Toll to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Upstream-ideas.com. That's our digital platform where you can access premium content that complements what we do each morning on this show. Long-form interviews this week with Illinois Policy Institute Vice President of Policy Mike Lucci answers the question, is there any legitimate reason to maintain a residence in Illinois? Very interesting discussion we had. 60-second commentaries, including mine this week on picking up our wounded on the political battlefield. Follow the Logic Man on the Street interviews, which are always entertaining and illuminating. Podcast of our Illinois Rising program, which covers state politics and policy. Go to upstream-ideas.com and sign up today.
Hey everyone, Dave from Draft Tech here. The construction season is almost here and it could be big. Time for all the contractors out there to get their BIM help lined up. This year, we want you to take a good look at Draft Tech. To the MEP guys, we're experienced. We know your equipment and how to get it routed, installed, and supported. If you're new to BIM, we can take you through a project from start to finish. If you're already doing BIM, we can help get you through some tight deadlines. To the generals, consider using us for your coordination and your MEP subs. We'll get you to your sign-offs faster than you thought possible. Consider Draft Tech as your one-source solution. We've got Revit and AutoCAD. We can help you out with some affordable 3D scanning, and we're right here in Chicagoland. We can come to the job site and work with your people to head off any problems. Check us out at draftingresults.com. We're a good number to have in your phone. That's Draft Tech at draftingresults.com. Draft Tech. Cutting-edge technology, old-school service.
You're never too old to learn something new, especially when it concerns your golden years. Join North Shore Capital Group at their retirement educational classes held at local colleges in your community. Each class is an interactive workshop that's held over 2 sessions and includes a workbook for you to keep and follow. Instructor Victor Rigoni will provide you with the tools and guidance to help you reach your personal finance retirement goals. At the end of the full class, you'll receive an opportunity to book an independent, complimentary consultation so that you can implement a proper retirement strategy. It's never too late to educate yourself about retirement. Call North Shore Capital Group, 312-260-7929. That's 312-260-7929 to find a workshop near you. North Shore Capital Group Incorporated, an independent firm with securities offered through Summit Brokerage Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC, and advisory services offered through Summit Financial Group, Inc., a registered investment advisor. 847-735-9200, 250 East Illinois Road, Suite 201, Lake Forest, Illinois, 60045.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy. So, Amy, we talked earlier in this week about a rather distressing story out of Iceland. The fact that through the advances in medicine, And prenatal testing, you can identify whether a child is going to, with a certain degree of certitude. There's a margin of error, as there is with everything. But with a certain degree of certainty, you can determine if your child is going to have Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Or spina bifida. There's a whole list of things you can find out.
Yeah. The issue, though, in Iceland is that for 9 years running, every single child that has tested positive for Down syndrome has been aborted. And the question is that good policy? Is that something that should be celebrated? Aborting children because they have a intellectual and developmental disability? Is that the world you want to live in? Is that the side of history you want to be recorded as having stood? Interesting questions, and the timing couldn't be better for Gigi's Playhouse to have their annual gala. I Have a Voice Chicagoland Gala, which brings together stars and philanthropists to raise money to support persons with Down syndrome. And we're pleased to be joined by Nancy Gianni from Gigi's Playhouse to talk more about that. Nancy, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. I am so beyond excited to be here. And I have to be honest, when I hear you guys say those numbers, it's staggering. Like, I've read it. I try to keep negativity out of my brain, but to hear those words being said, what it does is it teaches our newer generation that people with Down syndrome don't have a right to be here, that they're disposable. Mm-hmm. And that's not okay. That's just not okay. So I'm just grateful that you're bringing this to the forefront because, our kids were sent here to teach and to love. I learn from them every day, and I would love to give other people the opportunity to meet them and learn from them as well. I mean, we are all seconds away from being different. Just because someone's being born different and they can detect that, I mean, we're all seconds away from being different. It could be the birth of a child. It could be a car accident. It could be a stroke, a heart attack. And you may be different someday. And you're going to want the acceptance in this world that we all have the God-given right to. So I'm sorry, I'm just going off.
No, it's an emotional issue, and you can hear it in your voice.
Yeah, It demands an emotional response as well as a substantive one. So give us a little bit of a background for those who are not familiar with Gigi's Playhouse. Obviously, you serve individuals with Down syndrome, but tell us what your raison d'etre is at Gigi's Playhouse.
Well, we are Down Syndrome Achievement Centers. I started the first one when my daughter Gigi was born 14 years ago. We do free educational and therapeutic programs from prenatal diagnosis through career skills. We do one-on-one tutoring in literacy and math. We help the kids learn to walk, talk, read, get career skills. We have Gigi University. We give them all the tools they need in life to succeed, and then we get them out there in the community where they could be loved and appreciated. And we started 14 years ago at one location. We now have a replicable and sustainable model that we now have 31 locations across the country and in Mexico, and over 200 more inquiries to open worldwide, and they are in some phase of the Gigi's Playhouse model. So
how many?
Very exciting.
Yeah,
there
Nancy.
is some good here.
Yeah, Nancy. How many kids have you helped over the years with Gigi's Playhouse?
Oh, well over 26,000 individual hands-on help, but millions in just being a voice and showing their potential. Millions of people are affected by Down syndrome. We are the largest chromosomal disability in the country and the least funded. So we really need to get our voices out there. We're like 0.0006% of the NIH funding. Wow. It's crazy. So that's probably why enough people don't know enough about the good and the beauty in Down syndrome to know that they deserve to be here, just like anybody else.
Absolutely. Now, Amy, prepare yourself for what I'm about to tell you. The Gigi's Playhouse 2017, I Have a Voice Gala, excuse me. Saturday, March 11th, Drury Lane, 6 p.m., right?
Yep.
And Amy,
I know.
A Blast from the Past.
The best guy
is headlining the event. Somebody that you dated.
I went to a Cubs game with him.
Oh my God, that's awesome!
No, Mario Lopez from Extra TV. He's a wonderful man. He's very caring. He's a loving father, and I'm so glad that he's going to be the host of your event,
And
along with Rob Johnson, who's
he-
got a brother with Down syndrome.
Yeah, no, Rob is
Yeah.
great. Didn't Mario Lopez call his mom while he was on your date? It was going so
Yes.
badly.
did.
He called his
He's a
mom to
family
get
man.
he called his mom to get emergency evac out of the date with you.
No, they just talk all the time.
Yeah.
But so how can people come to this event this weekend? Are there still tickets available? How can we donate to Gigi's Playhouse?
Oh, you're awesome. Well, thank you so much. Yes, there's limited seats left, so just go to gigisplayhouse.org. Just click on the gala. It is this event, you guys. If you want to learn anything about Down syndrome or just celebration, from the minute you walk in the door, you're greeted by a receiving line of our Gigi University graduates who are elegantly dressed and showing you their potential, and you feel their energy and love. That goes on throughout the whole night. It's a black tie event with a rockin' edge, and oh my gosh, it's really a place to shine. And even if you just go on the link and look around, that's all I ask. I just want you to see them as people and not a diagnosis. I couldn't have made my children the children they are without Gigi in their lives. I promise you our kids are here with a purpose, and they're here to teach us and to love. And I'm so grateful that you are shining a spotlight on this, because it's, to imply that our kids are disposable, that needs to stop. I mean, there's always going to be differences. We're not going to be able to stop it. I don't know what the repercussions are going to be in Iceland. I just know that God has a purpose and for everyone in this world. And don't think you can get away from differences. We live in this world of, designer babies where you could pick, you want a girl, you want a boy,
Yes.
and it's scary. It's scary. So I just thank you for bringing this to the forefront, and just hope that one person's mind can be changed, and just go meet somebody with Down syndrome. We've got locations all across the country in Mexico. Stop in at a location. Bring your kids. Let them see what it's like. Let them see that Down syndrome is just about low muscle tone. It's not that these kids don't want the same life as everybody else. Their muscles don't work the same, and we just got to help them. That's what we do at the Playhouse. We give them those tools so they can do what the typical kids are doing, because that's what they want to do.
Yeah, well said. Well said. gigisplayhouse.org. gigisplayhouse.org is the website. The event this Saturday night, Drury Lane in Oak Brook Terrace, 6 p.m. Good seats still available, I'm sure. I'm sure they'll add tables as needed. One other, just last question before you let you go, Nancy. Any chance maybe Mario Lopez can introduce me to Tiffany Amber Thiessen? I don't, make it connect. All right, Nancy Gianni, Gigi's Playhouse, I Have a Voice, Chicagoland Gala benefit for individuals with Down syndrome this Saturday night, 6 p.m., Drury Lane, gigisplayhouse.org. Nancy, thanks so much for joining us, and keep up the great work.
And your show is killer. So keep it up, guys.
Thank you.
And Amy, I'll tell.
Tell Mario.
We'd
Yeah,
love to have
absolutely.
you as our guest, Amy. We could do a little reunited.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
First dance on Saturday night. Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy. You're
Awesome,
the best.
guys. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Nancy. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
They are here, circling over your head, and they're tracking you down. You feel overwhelmed, like you can't escape. You need a solution to get your back taxes filed, to put your life back on track. You need someone who can keep the vultures at bay and work directly with the IRS to leverage every opportunity to settle your tax debt. Mary Karpowitz, CEO of Comprehensive Tax Solutions, is licensed to represent you before the IRS. Don't let the IRS threaten you. You should never need to speak to them directly. Mary does that for you. Comprehensive Tax Solutions will help you settle your entire IRS tax debt for up to 85% off the original amount owed, including penalties and interest if you qualify. Comprehensive Tax Solutions, family owned in Chicagoland, can be a lifesaver for you. Call 708-478-6770, 708-478-6770, or go to resolveyourtaxproblems.com. Call 708-478-6770 now.
AM 560, The Answer.
And Nancy made me cry there. What a loving mom
great.
and a person. And gosh, her daughter's lucky to have her.
Good
She's lucky to
stuff.
have her daughter.
Very good stuff.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Paul Ryan says he doesn't have the 218 votes he needs yet, but he will at 8:38.
And what did you do to celebrate a day without woman? You have to hear what Chicagoans did. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, the GOP Obamacare replacement plan clears one House panel making its way through another after marathon sessions overnight. Vice President Mike Pence says he and the president will keep their campaign promise to repeal and replace Obamacare.
Leaders in the Congress have stepped forward to keep our promise to the American people to repeal and replace Obamacare, to end this nightmare of Obamacare once and for all.
Pence on Charleston, South Carolina radio this morning. U.S. Marines in Syria helping drive out ISIS from the northern city of Raqqa. Pentagon officials tell NBC News Marines are equipped with ground-launched artillery to support the coalition known as the Syrian Defense Force. IRS sitting on almost $1 billion worth of unclaimed tax refunds. Says it's about 1 million taxpayers who didn't file their 2013 returns and yet to have to collect. Jewish community centers getting more threats, this time institutions in Connecticut and Kentucky were the targets. Buildings were searched, nothing was found. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson will try and convince Illinois lawmakers this morning to approve tougher punishments for repeat gun offenders. Illinois' Attorney General asking the state Supreme Court to decide if state workers should continue to get paid. Lisa Madigan yesterday asking the High Court to weigh in on the ongoing fight over public employee paychecks. And MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, is going to give someone $250,000 who breaks the rules. Its Media Lab will give its Disobedience Award to someone who has taken a personal risk in order to effect positive change for greater society. And there will be a winner, announced in July. Orlando over the Bulls, 98-91. The news service of Westin Hotels and Resorts. Westin knows how disruptive travel can be to your well-being. But with rejuvenating heavenly beds, a nutritious Superfoods RX menu, and gear lending for when you leave that workout gear at home, Westin will help you stay in control and rise above it all. Westin, let's rise. Learn more at westin.com. 8:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher delivers the numbers on why the Democrats are scrambling.
It's a stunning set of statistics. The grand total during Barack Obama's West Wing tenure, a net loss of 1,042 state and federal Democrat posts. The Democrats are in free fall.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Don't like what the big banks have been doing lately? Time to call Townstone. I guarantee you can have confidence when calling me at 312-896-2110 or going to townstone.com that our only interest is getting you the best refinance deal available and to make sure your home purchase closes on time and without headaches. Do you have a jumbo mortgage, great credit, just want a smooth refinance with low or no closing costs and a great rate? Townstone Financial is a place to contact. We beat the big banks every day, and that's not just a saying. I had a call last week on a jumbo mortgage where a bank was charging $5,000 in closing costs. Not only was Townstone able to do the loan for no closing costs, but we were also able to beat the big bank's interest rate by a quarter point. Do yourself a favor. Check with Townstone before you refinance your mortgage or start a new home purchase. We will compete with anyone. Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. So call 312-896-2110 or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois Mortgage Licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639. Equal housing lender.
It's 8:38. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Like the inbound Kennedy's jammed. Nagel to the Hubbard Tunnel, an hour and 10 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 41 minutes from Montrose, 33 in the Express. Outbound 17 minutes to Montrose, 37 to the airport. Edens, 20 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 24. Eisenhower, an hour and 10 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 38 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 36 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State heavy from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Oasis. Reagan Tollway to the Grand Avenue curve and Oakton to Willow with road work on the exit. Veterans Memorial slow Boughton to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, sunshine this morning. Clouds drifting in throughout the afternoon, a high 41, clearing in 22 overnight. Currently 36. Next news at 9. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Illinois Rising, hosted by Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute. Sunday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
Come on.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. All right, you've had 48 hours to digest the Republican leadership's Obamacare replacement proposal. You've heard on our show, I'm sure elsewhere, the back and forth, some of the criticisms by conservatives of the proposal, saying it's Obamacare light.
Yes.
Rand Paul saying that.
Yeah, and I keep calling him Donald Trump. President Trump had a lot of conservative leaders in the Oval Office last night and scolding them, saying, do not call it Obamacare light from this point forward.
And we'll call it what we want.
No, zippy.
Maybe Tom Price wants to call it patient care. It's
But
good.
It's America.
But is America
the
what?
official name is American Healthcare. What is the official name?
I don't know. I think
Trumpcare?
Pete Sessions is like the greatest healthcare act in American history or something. Was this like placeholder title? I mean, all these titles of legislation is so silly. It's always Orwellian. But you've had a couple of days. You've heard the arguments from both sides, at least in part. So sound off. Sound off on this fundamental issue and the promise that both President Trump made as a candidate, as well as Republican congressional leaders, is what has been proposed in your mind keeping a promise, or is it breaking a promise? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Let me defer to House Speaker Paul Ryan.
Please.
And the case that he made yesterday, standing with some congressional colleagues, all of the parts of what has been proposed that conservatives should like.
Number one, the bill repeals Obamacare. Number two, it repeals the Obamacare taxes, which is a massive tax relief for families for the cost of health care. It repeals the Obamacare spending, like the Medicaid expansion and Obamacare subsidies. It repeals the Obamacare mandates on individuals and businesses. It ends funding for Planned Parenthood and sends that money to community health centers. It has a Medicaid per capita block grant. That's the biggest entitlement reform anybody has seen here for decades. It nearly doubles the amount of money people can contribute to health savings accounts. That is a fundamental part and a crucial part of conservative health care policy. It equalizes the tax treatment of health care. I've been doing conservative health care reform for 20 years. For 20 years, we as conservatives have been arguing for equalizing the tax treatment of health care for all Americans so we can have a vibrant individual market so we have choice and competition.
So there's a lot of bullets there. Many of which I agree with. And in addition to that, Ryan's overriding point, here's the big takeaway from what House and Senate Republicans have proposed.
This lowers costs, creates competition, it allows choices. The most important thing that this thing does is it takes power out of Washington, takes power out of the bureaucracy, and puts it back to doctors and patients where it belongs.
Okay. Your reactions, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Amy?
Again, I've always been concerned about, can you keep your doctor if you like your doctor? And they said there is a higher degree of likelihood that you can keep your doctor.
Well, sure. I mean, because you're going to have
more choices, more competition brings down costs. And
more choices and plans and so forth. I mean, there's no guarantees in the marketplace, but more options means you find something you
Right.
like, you can stick with it. The individual and employer mandates are gone.
And if you're-
and the landscape right now, as Dr. Tom Price has made mention of, which is really something that's rather extraordinary. A third of counties in this country have one provider,
Right,
one
just
health
one.
insurance
I
plan
know.
provider. That's Soviet. That's not free
Right.
society. That's not market centric. That is central government centric.
And the bleeding heart Republican in me really wants the people who are being treated for cancer at teaching hospitals such as Northwestern, Rush, University of Chicago. I want them under Trump care to be able to go back to their doctors.
Well, here's
to be treated again, because that was just deplorable what happened to them. It was sickening.
Yes, the bait and switch. Yes, but here's the thing about pre-existing conditions. When you concede an entitlement, I mean, that's not insurance, because what is insurance? It's insuring against something that might happen.
Right.
This is
Ponzi scheme.
this is right. You have
it
a
is.
pre-existing condition, so it happened.
It's gambling.
But what the left will do once you concede an underlying entitlement is redefine everything to fit to that entitlement. And this is the problem that Republicans, I think, are running into with some of the legitimate criticisms from free market conservatives about this proposal. You concede the underlying entitlement, and it makes it very difficult to control costs because, of course, government is a terrible actuary that analyzes things statically rather than dynamically, and it presents a lot of perverse incentives. The surcharge for dropping your health insurance, much like the penalty for not having insurance, how does that really work out in practice in terms of the incentives that it presents to people and thus the marketplace it engenders? These are legitimate questions that people are raising, and it's worthy of conversation. But again, in the context of you got to get 51 votes and 60 votes. You got to get 51 votes on reconciliation maneuvers to unwind Obamacare. You got to get 60 to be able to kill a filibuster in the Senate and do something systemic, holistic. So there is a political reality that has to be managed. Ralph and Rantoul, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. I think if President Trump prefers the new plan not to be called Obamacare Light,
Don't say that word.
Don't construct it so it looks and performs like Obamacare Light. I mean, when I hear things like 26-year-old people are going to still be eligible to be on their parents' plan, tax credits, I have yet to hear the magic word subsidies. I'm sure it's baked in there someplace. And when you allow people to get an illness and then buy insurance and then be retroactively covered for it, I could save a lot of money if I could, in fact, apply that same practice to my car, my house, things like that. Then I guess insurance companies don't need to employ actuaries anymore. They can fire them all and just hire historical statisticians and just find out how many people bought insurance after they got sick, because it changes the market. I want to see Obamacare go away. I think fundamentally the problem we have here is people think that they have a right to buy health care. Or a right to health care. It's always been allocated off of money. It always will be. It's not an entitlement. It never will be. There will always be injustice in the world. We can't make it perfect for everybody. And that includes if I suffer, I'm just stuck. I can complain about it, but I can't always change things. That's called life.
Thanks for the call, Ralph.
Oh, thanks.
Kurt in Park Ridge.
I think the big problem that they're having is they're not explaining to people that there are certain things they can and can't do in reconciliation. And everyone's saying we need this, we need that. You just can't do all this in reconciliation. You're going to have to get the 60 votes. So they could do what they want to do now, that they could squeeze under the reconciliation, but it all can't be done at once. No matter how much they say they're doing it at once, it won't be.
Thanks for the call, Kurt. Greg in Hawthorne Woods.
Yes, my idea is, one, they repeal Obamacare effective January 1st, 2018. Then Congress has a guideline for the insurance companies to come up with a product or products that could be sold. They have to be approved by Congress say, November 1st, 2017, and they have to have basic things in there such as no pre-existing conditions and so on. 3, then they start selling it as of January 1st next year. But you get Congress out of the insurance business. They have no idea what they're doing, and you might as well let the insurance companies do it.
Well, you have if you're federally mandating insurance plans, then don't you have Congress in the insurance business?
Well, I'm just thinking that they should get out of the business entirely because it's Congress. If they built a horse, it'd look like a camel.
All right.
They just don't know what they're doing.
Thanks for the call, Greg. I think Greg is directionally correct. Michael in New Lenox.
Hey, guys, I'm generally supportive of this. I didn't realize conservatives view using the tax code as an entitlement. That was a new one for me. My friends that have adopted kids and got a tax credit for that apparently are enjoying an entitlement we never talked about. But what drives me crazy is that we're on the 20-yard line on our own territory, and we need to go 80 yards. And Rand Paul's idea of scoring the touchdown is to throw 4 Hail Marys, and as soon as we lose it on 4th down, the Democrats are going to turn around and punch it in for the end zone. They wanted single pair. They didn't get it because they couldn't get their own base there. But if we screw this up, they will get single pair. So advance the ball forward towards what we want it to be. And if you're using the tax code, you can always change the tax code later. Get it moved forward.
All right. Thanks for the call, Michael. Here's the thing, too. I mean, just a point on this.
Yeah.
There is a urgency about this, not just to keep a campaign promise. The urgency about this, although that doesn't excuse not doing it correctly or as correctly as possible, the urgency is there's a lag effect to feel the results of public policy at the macro level. And so if you're thinking about the 18 midterms and you're thinking about Republicans maintaining control of Congress, then you need to move on this relatively expeditiously so people hopefully see beneficial results from the policy proposals that have been chosen. And that lag effect, is a real thing. And it'll take a year for people to kind of, if it was passed tomorrow, for people to understand it, to see how it's impacting their bottom line, how it's impacting their choices, how it's impacting the quality of coverage they have access to. And, a year, 14, 15 months away, then you're right into the meat of the 18 cycle. So there is a political calculation, too. You can't forget that.
And isn't some of this, theater? Because some of the politicians promised their constituents certain things that would be in the health care bill that's not in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of that, but some of it is, this is their actual position with respect to some of the component parts that are in and some of what is not in, frankly. Steve in Mount Prospect, on Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's refreshing. In order to pass this health care bill, we have to read it. And there's been participation the first time I've seen Congress work through the night, because even when the first health care bill was passed, it was passed at midnight because everybody was tired. Nobody knew what it was, and it was just before a holiday. So I think it's refreshing that everybody has the opportunity to put their 2 cents in, as long as there is a unified position at the end, as so many other people have spoken about.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Steve. I think that's an important point. The criticism that this is some kind of opaque backroom deal, backroom process that rank and file Republican members of Congress were not apprised of. That to me is the weakest of the criticisms that has been lodged against this proposal.
After 18 hours, it did pass its first hurdle.
Out of Ways and Means. Tom in Schaumburg.
Well, first of all, I think it's important for Trump to point out that there's more people today that don't have insurance than there was 8 years ago when the Democrats fixed everything. Secondly, if Trump wants to please his voters, he needs to get rid of that mandate that forces people to buy it. Or if he wants, he just sets the penalty from now on, at $10 a year for people that don't buy it, to make a joke out of it. And the last thing he needs to do is to make sure the insurance companies can sell the kind of policies that were available before, because people getting hurt by this, the Trump voters who are getting hurt by this, are now looking at premiums that are 2 and 2.5 times as high as they ever were before, and they're getting policies with $5,000 deductibles. They're not even able to access their insurance until they first pay in that $4,000 or $5,000 a year deductible, and then they'll get access to coverage what little coverage they can get from their policies. So the whole thing is a giant ripoff for people who work. So I don't know who are these people that still don't have insurance. I suspect there are people that are lower income people that are working hard every day can no longer afford insurance, while people who never worked at all are getting it for almost nothing. So I don't see the big turnaround being such a big deal for our side. We should be able to do what's right.
So on net, you're supportive of what's been proposed.
Absolutely. Get rid of the mandate that forces people to buy it. Let insurance companies sell whatever they want.
All right, thanks, Tom. Sean in Elmwood Park.
You're burying the penalty in the future, and you're changing the adjective. This is loved by lobbyists, lawyers, and liars. That's who put this bill together. It's a broker's fantasy. They love it because it just changes the verbs. It doesn't change the premise of what it is. Government insurance, and it will be single payer. The only single payer will be Blue Cross and Blue Shield, which is a hybrid company now. It is the Federal Reserve of insurance companies. It's so interwoven with government, you can't separate it. So for 20 years, Paul Ryan worked on it. Think about that. And what did he achieve in 20 years, except insurers being his biggest campaign contributors? Because when you look at these congressmen, one thing, the real common denominator is who's giving them the money? Insurance companies, lawyers, and investment houses. And that's who loves this bill. You didn't put it on me a little bit at a time, and all your sports analogies can't take it away. You took 1/6 of the economy at one time. Now give it back at one time.
Thanks for the call, Sean.
This roof is so needy.
Call Crumweedy.
How do you spell that?
KRUMW.
Oh, just go to myroofisneedy.com.
If your roof is needy, call Crumweedy. This is Greg Olson of Crumweedy.
And I'm Mark Olson from Crumweedy. We are a third-generation family-run business, and we have been doing Chicagoland roofs since 1953.
You can't do that unless you do really great roofs. We share the same conservative values as you, and we want to do your roof. Here's what you can expect.
First, no high pressure. You make the choice. Whatever option you choose, count on getting a roof that lasts at a fair price.
You see, application is the key. We follow the manufacturer's specifications so your warranty is intact. A lot of companies don't do that, and that could void your warranty.
Our installation is outstanding. No horror stories here. The roof you need that will fix your problems. When your roof is needy,
call Crumweedy.
Go to myroofisneedy.com. myroofisneedy.com.
If I only had more leads, if I only had more prospects to sell to. Sound familiar? The Sales Prospecting Group is ready to help you take your business to the next level. The Sales Prospecting Group is a local Chicagoland company that has helped hundreds of companies nationwide to secure new business by getting them in the door. The Sales Prospecting Group will get you appointments with qualified prospects to help you grow your business. They don't use contract labor or offshore callers. Their in-house staff of business account executives are highly trained, professional, and effective. The Sales Prospecting Group will build a custom campaign specifically for your business. They know how to navigate complex corporate hierarchies to get to the right people and get you connected with them. The Sales Prospecting Group specializes exclusively on B2B sales. Call the Sales Prospecting Group now to learn how they could help your business grow in 2017. 630-701-9052. 630-701-9052. The Sales Prospecting Group. It's time to grow.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. You know, the best home improvement decision I ever made was to call CertaPro Painters. No joke. Last spring, their trained, talented painters magically reformed my porch. Property values actually went up. But now that winter is set in, let's get your interior painting done, and CertaPro Painters are the only ones to call. You know, CertaPro Painters is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, and we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. When they come into your home, they are so quiet they won't wake a baby, and guess what? The best part is they clean up after themselves. So with this new year, you should refresh and renew your living space. Book your interior painting project today. For a free estimate, call our good friends over there at CertaPro at 1-800-GO-CERTA, that's CERTA with a C, or visit CertaPro.com. And we invite you to experience the CertaPro difference. I'm glad I called them. Each CertaPro Painter's business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro Painters, we do painting, you do life.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. The left doesn't need to learn new tricks if the old ones work just fine. The whipped-up frenzy around Attorney General Jeff Sessions is little more than fodder for a couple of episodes of some hackneyed Aaron Sorkin TV drama. It's not an occasion for Republicans to wet themselves, as some have. It's not an occasion for Republicans to adopt the high dudgeon of Senator Stuart Smalley, as some are. And it's not an occasion for Republicans to provide fuel for the gaslighting by the left on Russian influence on the Trump administration or impact on the 2016 election. William F. Buckley commented that relative to the left, conservatives do a poor job of picking up their wounded on the battlefield. True. What we essentially have here is Jeff Sessions cutting himself shaving while putting on his uniform. He then stopped his bleeding with his recusal on 2016 campaign-related investigations. Compare that to the wounds inflicted by bad actors at the IRS, for example, who illegally targeted Americans based on their religious and political beliefs and have yet to be held accountable. Jeff Sessions is our general for justice. We should encourage him to lead, and we should follow him into battle.
Thanks so much for making us part of your morning. Thanks to David Stripling, our technical director, and of course to Keith Conrad, our executive producer. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's go into the newsroom with the news from here at home and around the world. The one and only Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, here are the stories we're watching right now. The Chicago Teachers Union is considering a one-day strike. A woman charged with murdering her boyfriend, according to Chicago police, by forcing him to drink bleach. Illinois' Attorney General asking for a high court opinion on state worker pay. Illinois House panel has okayed energy drinks as adult beverages. And not a fun day on a Rugby, North Dakota Amtrak